saying that it is, but with a severe thunderstorm, you can bring down some trees, and that can obviously do some damage on your home. What were you seeing from the Weather Service there, Peyton?
Well, like you were mentioning, we're seeing several reports of hail, especially quarter size, back towards around the Shelbyville area. So again, that is this storm that is now working through Frankfort, portions of Franklin County. It looks like they just extended this warning that now includes Lexington, portions of Jessamine County, and back just to the north of Harrodsburg there, back towards Lawrenceburg. It continues in Anderson County there as well. So this warning was just extended for the Lexington, Fayette County area, especially western portions of Fayette County. We also have this active warning for Scott County right now, crossing right over I-75. So if you're out on the roadways, use caution, especially because a lot of times we can see some ponding on the roadways. The other story that Justin was mentioning as well is the lightning with this. And you really don't have to do much. If we just turn on our camera here, this is our home view out in Paris. It's looking towards that storm that is in Scott County crossing I-75 right now. Look at the frequent flashes of lightning you can see here behind me. And that again is working its way into portions of Harrison County and Bourbon County. So we'll continue to watch this. A lot of lightning with these storms. And obviously when thunder roars, we always say go indoors because lightning can be very dangerous as well. Same story if we go to the home view overlooking downtown Lexington. Frequent lightning with these storms as this is now pushing in. Again, Fayette County now under a severe thunderstorm warning as well. Portions of Jessamine County just to the north of Nicholasville under that warning as these storms are beginning to work into this area. And Justin, unfortunately, they're working into a very populated area. I mean, look at that lightning behind me. Look at that.
Very, very vivid lightning with these storms that are coming in here, Peyton. A wider view, obviously a quick little rundown of all the warnings that we have. The new one for Scott County, that's till 9:45. The new severe thunderstorm warning for Woodford County, Jessamine County, over into western Fayette County, including parts of Lexington, that goes till 10. And then the severe thunderstorm that's still ongoing from Anderson County to Franklin County, that goes, well, did go to 9:15, but it was expired and is extended till 10 o'clock for the new warning that was just issued. These storms definitely have the capability of producing heavy rain. We have the capability of producing large hail up to the size of quarters, if not larger than that, and frequent flashes of lightning. Got to watch this storm back to the west too as we're looking back over toward Mount Washington. You're talking about over just south of Louisville for some rotation. We'll keep an eye on these thunderstorms as we go throughout the rest of this evening and as storms continue to warrant and these keep moving on into the city. If we start getting some more hail reports, we'll definitely be here to let you know about it. But for now, we're going to send it back to regular programming. Peyton Hinkle along on beside me too as we're tracking severe thunderstorms that are coming into the heart of the bluegrass right now. Look at all of the lightning that we've got on here. Let me turn it back on and you can see just the numerous flashes of lightning that are across the state this evening. These are some very lightning prolific storms, some gusty winds, even some large hail, and we've even had a few signs now of a little rotation showing up with this storm that's coming out of Anderson County. And you could see that little spin, that rotation detector there showing up on the really right along the Bluegrass Parkway, eastern, southeastern Anderson County, right on the Anderson and Woodford County line. Let me zoom inside the thunderstorm because I want to look at that part of the storm that is actually rotating right now. That is definitely starting to tighten up right now. They have not issued a tornado warning, just a severe thunderstorm warning. Peyton, did they put a tornado tag on that? That's for the severe thunderstorm for Anderson and Woodford County?
I'm not seeing it right now. Doesn't look like it right now.
Okay, well, definitely rotation. So here's what I'm going to do. Even though there's not a tornado warning, anybody living right now in Woodford County, really from Versailles and down to the south, needs to be in your safe place. Interior room, away from windows, lowest floor of the home. Basement's the best place to be if you don't have a basement. That's that first floor. Interior room, as many walls between you and the outside portion of your home, because anytime we see the greens, that is the radar, that is winds here blowing toward the radar, and you see the reds and even some of the pinks starting to show up, that's winds that are moving away from the radar. When you get those two next to each other, you have to watch out for at least a potential for a tornado. Now, the radar is kind of, the latest scan here is kind of showing that a little bit broader, but still, we could have a tornado in the central to southern part of Woodford County. I'm going to stay with this storm just by seeing the latest couple of scans. Here's Versailles, here's Mortonsville. So if there is a tornado, it would be right on top of Mortonsville. If there's not, there is still quite a bit of wind showing up here on the radar that we could easily see 60, maybe 70-mile-per-hour winds on the leading edge of these storms right on top of Mortonsville. Pinkard, you're going to be next. As this heads off to the east, we're looking into parts of Jessamine County. So this is Dixontown, Nilton, and then this is the Bluegrass Airport. So we're working our way into Fayette County. This area of rotation is working its way over into the northern part of Jessamine County. Let me kind of widen back out just a touch here so you can see things a little bit more clearly. I'm going to turn off the little rotation detector. This is going to actually kind of help to clear things up just a bit, and we'll put our little track, and this is going to show us where that storm is headed. Due east, and all right, it's on top of Mortonsville right now. We were just showing that to you. This scan is a little bit behind. Pinkard, it is basically there within about 5 minutes. Little Texas at about 9:49, Keene over at 9:50, and then Westmoreland at 9:51. And that is for the storm that is rotating, and even though it may not be terribly strong, any bit of rotation that I'm seeing right now is indicative of maybe a quick spin-up tornado. So this storm has got our attention. We have hail also with this storm, even if there's not a tornado. Damaging wind gusts 60 to 70, and large hail larger than quarters. We could be looking at maybe some ping pong ball size hail here into the heart of Woodford County. Here's Versailles. The greatest area of rotation would be just south of there. Peyton, I know you were looking at some data too. We've got a big time lightning show. Were you seeing anything about the hail portion of this storm?
Yeah, let's go ahead and we'll look at the hail tracker here behind me. You can see all of these storms that we're tracking across the area have a history of the hail, and we're seeing that in the chat from the National Weather Service. Several reports of hail, mainly around quarter to maybe ping pong ball size hail at this time. But again, this is all radar indicated here, and you can see all the severe thunderstorm warnings have a history of this. The other story is the lightning show. If we take a look at radar here, look at all of this lightning. You can't even really see the radar picture because there's so much lightning on the screen here with all of these storms. So if we go outside and take a look at a couple of our tower cams, this is in Paris. It's a lot darker than it was just a few moments ago. Not as much lightning over Paris right now as we were seeing earlier. Might see a couple flashes there. Oh, there's one right there. Plenty of lightning, lots of electric with these. If we go to our downtown camera overlooking downtown Lexington, I mean, it pretty much explains itself here. You can see it behind me, plenty of flashes of lightning. So that's why we remind you when thunder roars, go indoors, because this is very frequent lightning. About every second we're seeing lightning strikes here, which can be dangerous, obviously, in these weather situations as well. Justin, do you have any new information from the weather chat right now?
Well, let me show you here on the radar on Lynx 1, where we're seeing these brighter shades of blue. What we're looking at here is not our standard radar view. This is the winds, the velocity inside the storm. And remember a moment ago I was talking about we look for those reds and greens next to each other to try to see if we have any potential tornadic winds or any rotating winds. We're seeing right now some definitely strong straight line winds and still a little bit of even rotation right there. You see a few pixels of green. I mentioned that it was over top of Mortonsville and it's moving off to the east. Here's the latest scan. We mentioned it's in Mortonsville now. Pinkard 9:45, Dixontown at 9:48, and Little Texas at 9:49. Now, no tornado warning, but there is some broad rotation here, and even if there is not a tornado, there is still some strong winds here, 60, 70 miles an hour. This is our first indication of the evening of definitely potential for some strong straight line wind damage. And look here, our BTI, that is a tornado index, and it usually, the highest I've seen this ever is like a 10. And this is spitting out a BTI of 7.5 for the storm here that's coming through Woodford County. Again, not a tornado warning at the moment. Let me turn the warnings back on. The reason I turned them off is because things get really cluttered on the map. If anybody's living here and watching us right now in Woodford County, Mortonsville, all the way even as far to the south, let me kind of zoom in and kind of get some of these smaller communities on here. There's Pinkard off to the east. Let's clear off some of these boxes and give you some street level mapping here. So Mortonsville, this is where we have the strongest winds, from Mortonsville to Pinkard to almost to Little Texas right now, which is crossing over into the northern part here. This is Jessamine County, and this is going to be over into southern part of Fayette County. So all of this is moving eastbound, all right? And these aren't moving as fast as they were a little bit ago, but it's still about 50 miles an hour. So we've got to keep a close eye on this. Definitely heavier rain coming in. Let me reset and show you a couple of other storms here that we were watching off to the north. Still a severe thunderstorm warning for western Bourbon, western Harrison, over to Scott County till 9:45. So only 5 minutes left on that. Let me go back to your regular radar picture, and this is just our clearest shot of really what's happening right now. For most of Bourbon County, it's just rain. All right, same story for most of Harrison, same story for Nicholas over to Bath County. And you may be saying, oh, where I'm hearing rumbles of thunder, but nothing severe there. But our greatest concern is this big storm here that's coming out of Woodford County and over into Fayette and eventually over toward northern Jessamine County. Back to the west, here's Anderson County and another storm on its heels coming out of Taylorsville. So this is out of our viewing area, but this is going to be taking us back over to Spencer County and working its way off to the east. So that's going to be coming into Lawrenceburg down the line. So we've got a lot of storms that are lining up, kind of like rail cars on a train track, and this could be a potential flooding issue if we see this set up like this, one storm after the other. But the reason that I'm staying with this is because I am still seeing indications of rotation. If it is not a tornado, there's still a potential with this storm in Woodford County of 60 to 70 mile per hour winds, all right? And that is enough that it can do damage on its own. Trees, it can blow trees over on your home. That's obviously the last thing that we want. Not seeing any reports right now. Let me turn on some of our storm tracks, or storm reports. Not seeing any at this time, but doesn't mean that there isn't some damage. So what we want you to do, if you're watching us now in Woodford County, where there is not only heavy rain, there's also the potential here, look at this, hail to the size of 2 inches in diameter here with this storm that's coming just to the south of Versailles. But even in Versailles right now, we're looking at potential. Let me go back in. Peyton's about to do another update on the hail, but I want to look and show you our indicator, our Barron indicator, and this is going to show us how large the hail potentially could be across Woodford County. You see the black that's showing up briefly there? I'm going to step off for a second. I'm going to turn that twisting of the wind signature off just a minute. It's kind of in the way here, so you at home, it's kind of hard for you to actually be able to see what we're tracking. Let me turn that off briefly. You can see that little dot of black that's showing up near Mortonsville and to the south of Versailles. This is where we could be looking at hail potentially 2 inches in diameter. So you'd be looking at hail maybe upwards ping pong ball or larger. That's enough that can knock out windows, can do some serious damage to your cars, to your home, obviously to life if you're outside. And then this part of the storm right here has winds that are, it's saying less than 58, but I think that we could easily be looking at winds 60 to 70 miles an hour. Southern part of Woodford County, and that storm's heading toward Little Texas, and it's also heading over into the western part of Fayette County here very shortly. Peyton.
Yeah, that's right. And you were mentioning the hail threat again. We've kind of been talking about this as the evening has gone on with these storms. It's no question we're dealing with that with pretty much every severe thunderstorm warning. There is the risk of that hail, the risk of the damaging winds. We even have a little bit of rotation in this storm, as Justin was talking about as well. So again, all the threats are on the table this evening, so make sure you're taking those precautions. Go inside as these storms are working their way across our region. I do want to point out a couple things for you. If we take a wider view, excuse me, if you're in portions of our southern communities, maybe, especially once you head down towards Stanford, Mount Vernon, McKee, Irvin, Beattyville, you're like, what's all the commotion? There's not much going on in my town right now. That is the case, but notice just off to the west here, right along the Ohio River, We have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings pretty much along the entire river there from Louisville all the way back to Owensboro, and these are all moving in that direction. Some of these are going to be crossing Western Kentucky Parkway back towards Elizabethtown and Bardstown over the next hour or two, and those are going to continue to work into portions of our viewing area. So everybody's not out of the woods just yet. This is still a very active situation that we are tracking. All right, it looks like we also have another, they've expanded this severe thunderstorm warning here now to include portions of Mercer County, you can see. So if you're on the Bluegrass Parkway, back towards Lawrenceburg, portions of Anderson County, all of these areas back towards Harrodsburg, even Danville. In the next hour or so, you should be on the lookout as these storms are working their way in your direction. This updated warning goes until 10:30 this evening. So these storms are moving fairly slowly. I also want to point out all of the lightning you can see here on the screen. Lots of electric here with all of these storms as well. And there's no question, and again, I keep showing our home view overlooking downtown. This is the library here on UK's campus. This is UK Healthcare, the hospital there out in the distance. Plenty of lightning pretty much every second as these storms are working their way across the area. So we have the lightning, we have the hail threat, even some rotation with a couple of these storms. We also have the damaging wind threat, ponding on roadways. Pretty much, if you can this evening, sit back, stay at home, get to your safe spot, and just keep your weather alerts on. And again, I emphasize, stay at home. There's no reason really to be out on the roadways this evening. Justin?
Yeah, you know, I pulled up here our power outage map that we've got across the region. The higher, when you start getting some of the darker blues and then up into the yellow shades here, you're talking about quite a bit of power outages, especially back to the Louisville area. But as these storms have been rolling through Anderson and Franklin County right now, we're talking about power outages in some of these areas. 1,000 customers out in Franklin County, about the same here as we're working our way into Anderson County, into Woodford County right now, where that storm is currently passing through from Versailles all the way down to the southern tip of Woodford County there. 100 customers out. No reports of any out so far in Jessamine County, but also over into Fayette County. But those were probably going to be coming here very, very soon as we're looking at severe thunderstorms ongoing across the region. Let's go back to the big radar picture. And if Peyton was running down a large real estate, southern Eastern Kentucky, not much happening. Remember, we were telling you that this was going to be an evening and nighttime event. Sure enough, these storms are getting their act together as we're finally starting to get a bit more lift to kind of help break through that lid that's been on the atmosphere today. Think about like a lid kind of on a pot. You need something that's going to kind of help to push through that and take it off. Well, the cold front and our low-level jet is starting to pick up, and that has helped to, again, intensify these thunderstorms. So if you're here in Lexington right now, over toward the Bluegrass Airport, boy, is the rain really coming down. Little Texas area, over into the northern part of Jessamine County. We're staying with these storms here until our newscast starts because the severity of some of these hail alone and also the potential for some winds that are 60 to 70 miles an hour. We're going to give you an update at home. And now this is your perfect time to be obviously streaming our coverage. That way, in case of your power goes out, keep your phone, your cell phone charged so you can watch us and stay with updates. Right now, we're out with our live drive. Looks like we're driving around in Lexington. Look at the prolific lightning there off in the shot. But this is before the heaviest rain is getting in. Remember, I was just showing you here, heaviest rain right now is on the west side of town. We're going to be getting a new updated scan here momentarily. There is a lot of lightning. I've turned off the lightning momentarily just to kind of clear things up. But it is pouring the rain back over to the Bluegrass Airport, and we're likely looking at even some hail that's back there with that part of the storm right now. Look at all the lightning. Likely quarter-size hail, maybe larger than that, but I am still looking at the southern tail of this storm that's crossing out of Woodford County. Remember, I've been giving you that outlook going back, about 15, 20 minutes ago, that we have some broad rotation here. And on the northern part of that rotation, we have got some really strong winds here. Look at this. I mean, we're talking winds that are about 60, maybe 70 miles an hour, 64 mile per hour gusts there. That's going to be going away from the radar and then toward the radar here, which again, even though it's broad, we're not getting these bright colors of reds and green really close to each other like you would typically see more for a tornado. still, even though we're looking at winds 60 to 70 miles an hour can do some damage here. So where are we looking at? This is Woodford County. This is Jessamine County. Here's Nicholasville. And the strongest winds are passing into northern Jessamine County right now. Let me come down to street level and show you Dixontown. We're looking up toward Nilton. Let's work our way a little bit further off to the north here, and this is going to show us what's happening into the northern part of Jessamine County. So this is Pinker. This is back community that's coming out of Woodford County. This is Jessamine County. Here's South Elkhorn, which is in southern Fayette. So we're looking at over toward James Lane. This is Woods Road. This is Keene South or Elkhorn Road. This is where we're going to be looking at least some winds that are gusting 60, 70 miles an hour, okay? So hunker down if you're watching us right now in Jessamine County, especially from Nicholasville northward and even over still back into Woodford County and even into Fayette County. That severe thunderstorm warning goes for us until 10 p.m. So we're only looking at 10 more minutes on it. I would be shocked if this severe thunderstorm warning is not extended to encompass more of Jessamine, more of Fayette County, and down the line, that'd be holding on and going over into parts of Clark County here. There's a new scan. Let me put a new track on it. This is where we have at least some broad rotation, okay? Hail to the size, a 90% chance. 90% chance of severe hail. Hail to the size of 2 1/4 inch. So you're talking ping pong ball to golf ball size hail potentially falling here into northern Jessamine County, back over even into the southern part of Woodford. For sure hail to the size of quarters, but I think we're looking at hail that is definitely even larger than that, and it's moving east. So that storm, that large hail producing storm, even winds that are up at 69 miles an hour to 70. Dixontown, it's on top of you, okay? The Jessamine community, 959. Brannon, so we're talking near the Brannon Crossing area, that's going to be about 10:05. We're getting down into Stony Brook, 10:09, and then down to Jonestown at 10:11. So that's where this storm, the most severe part of the storm, is crossing right now. Let me clear this all off for you. And Peyton, do you have an update there?
Yeah, I was just going to look at the rotation here on this storm that's now working its way into Jessamine County, right just to the south and west of Nicholasville. If we're seeing any rotation right here where the reds and greens come together, that's where that's going to be right now. Again, it's about to cross over Route 68, pushing towards the Nicholasville area again, once again. As Justin was pointing out, strongest winds now working into northern portions of Jessamine County, near the Brannon Crossing area and those areas. So if you're familiar with more of Trademarks, the movie tavern, there's a Kroger in that area. It is working in that direction. Again, severe thunderstorm warning here for all of these. And again, we'll continue to watch this very broad rotation, not very tight right now, but we'll continue to watch that as the night goes on. And I was checking out some of the reports of this. We've been talking about the hail as well. All of these storms have a history of producing hail all the way back towards the Louisville metro area, and that's not going to change. That's going to continue. We have quarter to ping pong ball size hail reports, about 1 inch in diameter or so. So keep that in mind right now. Again, this is the latest, so it's probably hail potential pushing towards the Nicholasville area. Same story, pushing towards portions of Mercer County, back towards Harrodsburg. We'll continue to watch that for you as we're getting those reports. I also want to mention all of these storms that are working back towards Louisville. We're getting storm reports of trees down and things like that as well. And again, these are those same storms that are working from the Ohio River Valley, pretty much kind of paralleling the I-64 corridor here, working their way in towards the Lexington metro area. So all severe weather threats are on the table this evening, especially the hail and strong wind threats, and we're going to continue to watch that rotation as the night goes on. Let's take a wider view at all the warnings we have here from portions of Fayette County back into Woodford, Anderson, Mercer County. Plenty of heavy rain with this. If you're on the Bluegrass Parkway, you're likely seeing some heavy rain, or if you live near the Bluegrass Parkway, seeing that. Same story if you're in the Lexington metro area. I don't know if the control room can tell me, do we have our live drive camera up? We might be able to take a look at some of the heavier downpours in just a second, but we'll wait on that. I'll continue to kind of give you a tour because off to the west, these warnings are outside of the viewing area from Owensboro And just to the west here of Elizabethtown, you can see those severe thunderstorm warnings as well. So portions of central Kentucky and eastern Kentucky that aren't seeing anything just yet, you are not out of the woods just yet. We're going to continue to watch these storms as they push off to the east-southeast. All right, here's the live drive camera. Let's go ahead and take a look. Here's in downtown Lexington. Our team is out there. Heavy rain coming down, frequent lightning. You can see that in the camera shot there as well. Doesn't look like we're seeing a lot of ponding on the roadways at this point, but I'm curious. I'm not exactly sure where they are, but probably southern portions of New Circle Road. If you're going down 27 Nicholasville Road, likely some very heavy rain. And again, we're watching the hail potential for pretty much all of these. So this evening, it's a pretty good idea. Just stay at home the rest of this evening, unless you absolutely have to be out. I would advise just stay at home, take it easy, keep your weather alerts on. Justin did mention some power outages earlier too, so it's a great opportunity to charge up your phone now. If you have power, you can also stream us broadcasting all of these alerts throughout the evening, and we'll continue to keep you updated. Looks like they just extended a severe thunderstorm warning, including all of Jessamine County, now working its way into portions of Madison County towards Richmond. So they're going to keep that warning with this system as it continues to work off to the south, south, and east there. If we're looking at radar, though, pretty much from Paris, Cynthiana, Flemingsburg, Mount Sterling, just some light, maybe some areas of moderate rain at this point. The main storm threat right now that we're watching is, again, right along Bluegrass Parkway here, working towards Harrodsburg, Lexington metro area, Nicholasville, and then back towards Richmond along I-75. Justin.
Thanks, Peyton. We're still watching more storms back to the west here. These storms that are coming out of portions of Nelson County, Spencer County, and working into Anderson County back here. So several severe thunderstorm warnings. Let's do a quick little reset here before we get to the top of our newscast, and then we're going to go again and give you a quick reset of everything that's happening. But these are the thunderstorm warnings that we have across our viewing area at the moment. A severe thunderstorm warning is working its way now. This is going to be for Washington County. It's also for Mercer County. That's till 10:30. It also includes parts of Anderson County. That's till 10:30 for this big storm here. Look at all the lightning. These storms this evening have tons of lightning with them. A lot of energy in the atmosphere that's helping to fuel all of that lightning. And again, a thunderstorm is not categorized as severe by the amounts of lightning or lightning in general. Winds have got to be at least 58 miles per hour or stronger, or hail to the size of quarters or larger is what constitutes a severe thunderstorm. But even with strong winds, heavy rain, even large hail, we've got a ton of lightning. But those storms also pack at a punch with some strong gusty winds. I've been tracking that one particular storm ever since it was back over into Anderson County and then went through Woodford and now is going through Jessamine County here. This storm has been packing a punch with vivid lightning, heavy rain, but definitely some gustier winds. Let me look back inside the storm. I want to look at the storm relative velocity. Okay, not a whole lot of what we would call rotation. Very broad. Looks like there's a few pixels here of winds that are coming toward the radar, but it is primarily some big-time, strong, straight-line winds, and we may be seeing winds here. Look at this latest scan from Nicholasville north on 27. So Nicholasville Road, if you're heading north into Lexington, in between Nicholasville and Lexington, 50, 60 mile per hour gusts, maybe even some gusts that are over 60 easily. That's a little bit weaker than what it was a minute ago. Peyton, do you have some new information?
Yeah, so I'm looking in the National Weather Service chat here. It looks like Versailles Dispatch in Woodford County is reporting numerous trees down on both Clifton Road and Tyrone Pike. So again, that is Clifton Road and Tyrone Pike. Reports of multiple trees down in that area. It looks like we're also, again, continuing to get several reports of the hail at this time. So that's the latest report from the Weather Service, is several trees down in the Woodford County, Versailles area.
Okay. All right, so some big-time storms that you just heard there from Peyton did some damage over in Woodford County. That same storm is what's working its way east now over into Jessamine County and southern parts of Fayette County. Definitely a lot of lightning associated with, and still hail. I don't want to downplay that. Again, this is one, obviously, product that we use. Sometimes it does have a tendency to overdo the hail size, but for sure, quarter, if not larger, hail showing up in a good part really of Jessamine County here. This is going to be especially north of Nicholasville, back to Versailles, back over to Lawrenceburg, and then even more hail as we get back with the storm that's working its way into western Anderson County, right along US 62 and just north of the Bluegrass Parkway. So a lot of thunderstorms that are out there, severe thunderstorms. This one that Peyton was mentioning earlier for Madison County, Jessamine County, southern Fayette County, back over into Woodford County. That's a warning till 10:30. So we've got about 31 minutes left on that, and more storms again behind it. And I'm kind of concerned here that when we get these storms that just continue to line up with one another, that the amount of heavy rain that we're going to be dealing with some of these storms, okay? All right, so we are going to be joining our newscast right now. Here at the top of the hour, we're going to have a full breakdown on these storms and where they're headed.
From Fox 56 News, the Weather Authority, this is a severe weather alert.
Hello, it's good to have you with us this Sunday. I'm Bodie Brooks. As you have just been seeing, rough weather is moving all across the Bluegrass tonight with a high chance for damaging winds, hail, fallen trees, lightning, all of the above. Peyton Hinkle and Justin Logan, our Weather Authority team, have been tracking it all. Let's go to them for the latest.
Thanks, Bodie. As we were just mentioning, there are very strong storms coming across the Bluegrass area right now. Southern and eastern Kentucky, still not much happening at the moment, but these storms are working in your direction. So let's give you a little rundown if you're just tuning in here right at the top of the hour. We've been on for about 30 minutes or more talking about these severe thunderstorms, a whole lot of lightning, and definitely the threat is there also for some very large hail. Let's look at our 1 hour hail track. This storm that's coming into Jessamine County now, basically from Nicholasville north, back through Versailles, up to Lawrenceburg, and westward into Shelby County. That was one big hail track, and another one coming into western Anderson, and that goes all the way back to Louisville. So some large hail. Quarters may be larger than that. The radar has been detecting potential for hail maybe up to 1.5 inches. So you're getting up toward ping pong ball size, if not larger. If you're seeing hail in your area, please let us know about it. Obviously, when it's safe to do so. What are you seeing outside your window? Is it hail that's larger than quarters? We've also got some definitely heavier winds that are coming in. Let's look at the velocity. This is what we would look at when we're talking about, is there a rotating storm at all, or is there strong straight line winds? Well, if we're looking here with these particular storms that are coming into Lexington, the strongest part of the storm is south of town. All right, so there's the Bluegrass Airport. Here's the Fayette County, Jessamine County line here. So the strongest winds are down into Jessamine County and also a little bit further down to the south with that storm. And it's heading southeast. It's moving southeast here. It's got winds now that are about 58 miles an hour. Earlier, there were winds that was showing near 70 when it was doing some of that damage that Peyton was reporting back in Woodford County. So we'll give you a quick little time estimate on these, and then Peyton's going to give us an update on some of the storm reports from the area. Before we do that, too, we've got our live drive. Our reporter is out in the field. Let's actually pull that up right now. This is a live check. They're on New Circle Road as very heavy rain is obviously moving into Lexington and Fayette County as we speak. That is it right there. Look at the ponding of water. Look at the prolific lightning. And yes, there are a few cars out there, but if you don't have to be out this evening, especially here in Fayette County, again, down into Jessamine County, back over in even Woodford and Anderson County, those are the areas right now that are seeing the strongest part of these storms. Try to stay home if you don't have to be out there, right? Especially when we're talking winds that could be 60 to 70 miles an hour. And so that strongest part of the storm, Nicholasville, obviously you're already feeling the effects of that. But Union Mills down to Spears and Coaltown, 15, 20 minutes, and it's going to be in your neck of the woods. Let me go over a few other storms here before we head back over to Peyton. Look back to the west here. I'm going to kind of clear things up and switch radars because once we get further away from that particular radar, things start looking a little bit messy. More storms are coming back out of the Louisville area. This is Bullitt County. This is Jefferson County. Back in our viewing area, some big storms. Another one. Again, Anderson County's been hit by a couple of storms here. Here's Lawrenceburg. But the strongest part of the storm is actually just southwest of there. From Willisburg over up to the north here into Anderson County. A lot of heavy rain and lightning and even some hail, Peyton, that could be talking hail the size of quarters, if not larger. But I'm starting to see at least some good signs here, Peyton, is it looks to me, I've seen less purple show up here. And even with the storm over into parts of Jessamine County, at least that may be a good indication that some of the hail, at least those strongest hail cores, are starting to weaken.
Yeah, that is some good news for sure. We've definitely had the reports of the hail across the state this afternoon and into this evening. And I just want to take a minute to look at our home view camera at the lightning. It is very impressive out there. Plenty of lightning across the area. This is actually, the rain is coming down so heavy. This is looking towards UK Hospital, UK Healthcare there. This is the library on UK's campus. And the lightning is just very frequent. We're continuing to see that across the area. I mean, look at that. So speaks for itself. We always say when thunder roars, go indoors. You definitely want to live by that tonight because this lightning is very impressive across the area this evening. As Justin mentioned, we've had several storm reports across the area today, including those hail reports as well. All of these little red dots you can see here are all storm reports. So we have multiple hail reports, some larger hail, especially once you head back towards Louisville. Lots of reports of trees down across the area, even some roadways being flooded in some of these warning areas. So we'll continue to watch that. And then we now have this report of trees down in Woodford County. I believe that was around the Tyrone Road area. So we're continuing to watch that. But again, these storms are capable of taking down trees, probably damage to power lines and things like that. So be aware. We are also tracking some of those power outages. And as Justin was mentioning, you can likely see the hail core here just to the north of Nicholasville. It's likely moving right through the Brannan Crossing area right now, just to the south of the Fayette-Jessamine County line. Some hail is very likely within that storm, along with the heavy rainfall. So we'll continue to watch this as the night goes on. But again, the storms have knocked out power for several areas across the Bluegrass. So I do want to give you an update on that. Let's take a look here in the metro. 1,000 people without power right now in Franklin County, 400 up in Owen County, 100 in Cynthiana, 200 right now in Woodford County, 1,000 out here in portions of Anderson County. Once you go down I-64 back towards Louisville, Louisville metro area has 20,000 people in Jefferson County right now without power. And then looks like 5,000 just to the north there, 9,000 just to the south around Mount Washington. So again, these storms are very capable of taking down trees and power lines. We have the hail threat, all of that to talk about as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the damage or a tornado video from these storms earlier. This is in the Greenwood, Indiana area. This was the power of this storm system earlier today across the state of Indiana. What appears to be a tornado here gaining strength as it moves through this apartment complex. A fair bit of debris is flying off of the rooftops, and then you can see just in moments how quickly that is working through there. Lots of debris flying around. And it's just a scary situation there, no doubt. I've seen lots of pictures on social media across portions of Indiana, especially here in Greenwood. And we've seen a lot of damage reports out of Indiana from these storms. So these storms have had a hectic past throughout this afternoon today. Plenty of damage with these. And again, we're continuing to see those reports here across central Kentucky. Plenty of power outages right now. Still have several severe thunderstorm warnings. And again, I want to emphasize, if you're not under a severe thunderstorm warning right now across southern portions of our viewing area, you still need to remain weather aware this evening because we do have several strong storms back along the Ohio River and portions of western Kentucky that are continuing to work to the south and east. So, Justin, we're definitely not out of the woods just yet. We're going to continue tracking this for people as the night goes on. Justin?
Yeah, for sure. Still watching those and obviously getting in a lot of video that we're going to effort to try to show you from our viewers that have sent these videos of prolific lightning and definitely even some gustier winds coming into the Fayette County area, Lexington, even over in neighboring communities. Heard that this is from Caleb, says that he has residents in North Anderson County, Bluegrass Energy, that are without power. So again, we were talking about Anderson County as one area that was having some power outages. These storms are getting, at least by looking at the radar picture, not as prolific hail signatures. Hey, we like to see that. We want that to weaken. Nobody wants any hail damage to your car, to your roof, to your windows of your home, anything like that. But still, I mean, this is dumping a ton of rain right now from. We are in Lexington, okay? So you're watching this at home and you're saying, all right, what's happening here? I am seeing a ton of lightning here. Well, look on the northeast side of town here. You get your way up, heading up toward Paris Pike, the Bryan Station area. Rain's much lighter. You get to the Bluegrass Airport, you get down to Tate's Creek, Fayette Mall, you get down to the Athens area, you get further to the south, and it's a different ball game, which is where we were seeing our live view shot across southern parts of Lexington around New Circle, and it was pouring. Now, we could still be looking at some hail here with this storm that's coming through northern parts of Jessamine County. That's moving southeast. The greatest area of at least strongest winds are still looking to work their way into the northern part of Jessamine County, and that is even maybe producing some winds that are upwards still of about 50, 60 miles per hour. So we're going to keep watching these storms as we go throughout the rest of this evening. Another one coming into Anderson and parts of Boyle County. All right, stick with this. We are going to be coming back right after the break with more news and more weather from your Weather Authority.
The first 10 minutes of Fox 56 News at 10 were brought to you commercial-free. Sponsored by UK Federal Credit Union. Fox 56 Sports takes you into overtime on the OT tonight at 11 on Fox 56. Sponsored by Quick Lane Tire and Auto. From Fox 56 News, the Weather Authority, this is a severe weather alert.
All right, 10:18 here on your Sunday evening. Wow, Chief Meteorologist Justin Logan here with Peyton Hinkle. We have been tracking strong, severe storms all evening, and this has been a big story, what we're seeing in this shot.
The lightning has been very impressive across the entire area that is dealing with the storms this evening. And I mean, you can just see it every second. We're seeing flashes of lightning. This is our home view overlooking, right now we have it pointed towards UK Hospital, UK Healthcare, and then also UK's library there on their campus. So plenty of lightning this evening. We've also been getting reports of hail. We've had damaging winds. Pretty much all of the severe weather threats are on the table tonight.
And you know, we heard from a viewer that called in just moments ago to the newsroom saying marble-sized hail over toward the Bluegrass Airport.
Yep.
Again, not severe levels. Again, inch in diameter would be severe, but still, anytime you see hail or you hear it, indication is, okay, oh my goodness, look outside, it's hailing.
And these storms have had a lot of history of that hail across the area there, as we've been talking about throughout the evening. Back towards Louisville, we've even seen some fairly large size hail.
Yeah, and on Links 1, guys, I'm going to show over the storm tracking here at the wall, and then Peyton is going to be going over to Links 2. All right, let me show you the storms that we've got going on. The one that was producing tons of lightning. Inside this view that we're showing you here on our radar, look how many flashes of lightning. 583 strikes, positive strikes, which are the stronger lightning strikes, 145, negative strikes, 437. Regardless, I mean, this is just one of those events that is like prolific lightning. I mean, it is flash after flash after flash, and lightning is one of the leading weather killers every year. So if you're watching in Winchester, heavier rain just west of you, but we've got some likely small to large hail, when I'm talking about anywhere from likely marble up to the size of quarters, if not a bit larger, as you're getting down to the southern part of Fayette County toward the Athens-Boonesboro exit. Let me zoom in just a little bit closer, get some smaller communities to pop up. Severe thunderstorm warning for Fayette County, Jessamine County, over into Madison County till 10:30. That may get extended. Near Coletown, Spears, Athens, and then off to the east and then down to the south. Let me widen back out. Nicholasville, heavier rain. The next line of storms is back off to the west, and it definitely has the capability here coming back through Woodford County. Harrodsburg right now, a rush of some strong winds here, heavy rain, frequent flashes of lightning. We could be looking at 60 to 70 mile per hour winds gusting here going through Harrodsburg. Bergen, it's on your doorstep. These are all going southeast, so let me widen out. Who's next? Garrett County, over to Madison County, back over even into Boyle County. I think the strongest part of the storm stays just north of you, and then even more storms back to the west. Look at all the lightning here. That is a big time show that's going on. Let me do a quick little track here, and we're going to head over to Payton. Any winds that we're looking at, a big concern, some stronger winds, but I'm not seeing any real rotation that is showing up, which is good. We don't want to see that. Payton, what are you tracking over there with the hail and our future forecast?
Well, first I want to take a look back at this video from earlier today in Greenwood, Indiana. This was the power of this storm system just a little bit earlier this afternoon across portions of central and southern Indiana. What appears to be a tornado gaining strength as it moves through this apartment complex. You can see the debris flying off of rooftops, and then you can just see it spin up at the end there in just a few minutes. But obviously a very dangerous situation across portions of the Hoosier State this afternoon and evening. And again, these are the same storms that we are seeing tonight, bringing us the severe weather. We've had no tornado warnings thus far. We'll continue to watch that as the night goes on. As Justin was just talking about, we're continuing to watch these severe thunderstorm warnings, and it actually looks like one of these severe thunderstorm warnings has been upgraded to a dangerous severe thunderstorm warning. So we'll continue to watch this. This is just looks like moving into portions of southern looks like southern Fayette County, about to cross I-75. You can see what looks like a hail core right here just to the east of Nicholasville. If you are in this area, you need to treat this like a tornado warning and get to the most interior room of your home. You can see it's a slightly different color polygon here. Again, just to looks like to the east of Nicholasville, this polygon here, very strong winds, radar indicated at this point. So if you live in this area, southern portions of Fayette County, portions of Jessamine County, and to the north of Madison County, right along the Clays Ferry Bridge area there and along I-75, if you live in those areas, you need to treat this severe thunderstorm warning here like a tornado warning and get to the most interior room of your home or to your basement if you can. We'll continue to watch this over the next few minutes. First, let's go ahead and take a look outside at things going on. Here's a live look from our tower cam, our home view overlooking downtown Lexington. Plenty of lightning. It is frequent over and over. We've been talking about it all evening. As Justin mentioned, lightning is one of the #1 weather killers. So make sure you stay inside this evening as we're just continuing to see the lightning across the area. All right. Let's take a look at current temperatures right now. You can see some of that rain-cooled air. 69 here in Lexington, 73 Jackson, same story Somerset, 72 London, 70 out in Hazard. So some rain-cooled air, but it is still very mild and muggy outside this evening, which is helping to fuel those storms. Here's a look at the wider view. You can see the cold front. This is what's responsible for these storms firing up. As this continues to work to the east, we're going to continue to track these storms across central and eastern Kentucky this evening as this large area of low pressure, this large storm system drifting all the way to the south here is pushing its way off towards the Atlantic coast. So this is all going to be working through this evening. Everybody still has the risk of severe weather tonight, even if you're not seeing anything just yet. Let's time it out for you here on the Futurecast. It's doing a pretty good job. You can see these hail cores right now. It's actually picking up pretty much spot on what we're seeing right along portions of Madison County, Fayette County. What I was just showing you on radar, it's doing a pretty good job showing this. Notice these cores back towards the I-65 corridor and the Ohio River. These are going to begin to work to our southern areas, especially Somerset, Monticello, the Lake Cumberland region, and then eventually into portions of eastern Kentucky. So that's why I say this is going to be going on while you are likely sleeping late tonight, especially for our southern and most eastern counties. So make sure you have a way to receive weather alerts tonight before you go to sleep. You will want to have those turned on your phone. Charge up your cell phone in case you lose power. You'll definitely want to keep that available. Notice the storms really aren't exiting our viewing area until we get to around 3 a.m. or so. And then things begin to dry out as we head into Monday morning. So looking much better to start the work week, but we have to get through tonight and this evening first. So let's recap that all for you. Tonight, temperatures aren't going to fall too much, only to about 67 degrees. We'll continue to track those strong storms throughout the evening. If you're not seeing storms yet, you are not out of the woods just yet. Again, I'm emphasizing that for our eastern Kentucky and southernmost counties around the Lake Cumberland region. Stay weather aware over the next several hours for sure. Tomorrow, we'll have some of those morning showers and storms, but by midday in the afternoon, we're drying things out as that cold front pushes through. If we look at your 7-day forecast, again, really, tonight is the big weather maker that we're continuing to track. Some morning showers tomorrow, then we're drying out. Look at this. By the middle of the week, things look much better. It's less humid, temperatures in the low 80s, and then things quickly warm up by the end of next week. Look at that, several 90-degree days actually, and that's when our next rain and storm chances really begin to work in here, and that's what we're tracking as the next big thing. But Justin, we have to get through tonight first. Still a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings out there, including that one that's tagged as dangerous, I should say.
The destructive, they're saying that hail could be up to the size of almost 3 inches in diameter coming through southern Fayette County, out of eastern Jessamine and into the northern part of Madison County. We've thrown a storm track on that because, for perspective here, 3-inch diameter hail, you're getting about baseball size. All right, that is rare for us in Kentucky to see hail potentially that large. We could be looking at near baseball size hail, southern Fayette County near the Athens-Boonesboro exit. You're getting over to the Bluegrass area, all right? So that's going to be 1035. Ford 1043, Red House 1043, Union City 1053, Reed's Crossing 1057. That is for a thunderstorm, not only producing heavy rain, frequent lightning, maybe some damaging wind gusts, but the biggest concern right now with this one, and I just called out, that's the community, or those are the communities it's heading to, potential destructive hail, southern Fayette, northern parts of Madison County. That's one of the storms. A number of other storms that we're watching. We're going to be here throughout the rest of this evening and the overnight. Coming up after the break, Michael is going to have a look at sports, and we'll be back with another check on weather a little later.
Scan the QR code on your screen now and download the Fox 56 News app, sponsored by the Kentucky Lottery. Over $4.4 billion in grants and scholarships. From Fox 56 News, the Weather Authority, this is a severe weather alert.
All right, time now, 10:31. Thanks for staying with us here as the news continues. We are tracking a destructive, severe thunderstorm warning. Remember earlier I was mentioning that these warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings, now come with tags. So we had considerable, and then it goes to destructive. Why? Well, there is a potential here in southern Fayette, northern Madison County for hail to the size of baseballs and maybe even winds upwards of 70 miles an hour. So where are we talking here? Well, it's not to Richmond yet. The greatest concern is in northern parts of Madison County and southern Fayette. So really right here along the Kentucky River. Let me clear off the warning. That new destructive severe thunderstorm warning goes till 11:15. It includes, again, southern Fayette, even includes back over into parts of Jessamine County, including Nicholasville, and then into the northern part of Madison County, all the way down really actually to Richmond. But where I want to show you the greatest concern for the large hail is at the moment, you see this black area right along US 25. I'm going to put a track on this. This is going to show you the communities that are going to be impacted by either large hail for sure, but even the potential for some damaging winds. Look at these communities. Bluegrass, it's on top of you right now. Red House, you got about 5 minutes, and it's really going to be packing a punch there soon. Richmond, 10:43. There are the updated times. It's on top of Bluegrass. Richmond, this storm is coming east-southeast, so the strongest hail core actually may miss Richmond, but it's heading into the northeastern part of Madison County. Let me reposition this and throw on some smaller communities. Doylesville, you're going to get impacted by this. Bybee, getting impacted by it. That's down the line here. Where do you find yourself? 10:51 before some destructive hail potentially to the size of baseballs comes rolling through those smaller communities in Madison County. Now, the wind side of this, look back to the west. We're going to look inside the thunderstorm, show you what the winds are looking like. All right, this is where some of the strongest winds are coming out of, again, northern Garrett and southern part of Jessamine County. You see where the blues are coming together? And look at that. We actually have a tree damage report there. Looks like thunderstorm wind damage back at 10:12. Reports of several trees down near Wilmore, okay? That was with one of the storms earlier. Now the second storm's coming in, and we have potential winds here. Let me highlight them. I mean, we're right along the river. 80-mile-per-hour winds. Now, again, the radar beam is shooting up. The earth curves. And as we get higher, that beam keeps shooting up above the ground. So I'm not saying we're necessarily looking at 80-mile-per-hour winds, but definitely that potential for 70-mile-per-hour winds crossing US 27. So south of Nicholasville, between Bergen and Nicholasville, there is an area of some potentially damaging, destructive winds that are moving east, southeast. So between Harrodsburg and Nicholasville, right here, where Garrett County and Jessamine County come together, very strong winds. Stay away from windows. Get off the second floor of your home on your first floor, because winds like that can pick up all kinds of debris, tree limbs, trash cans, trampolines, blow them into your window. You want to be as low as you can, all right? Away from windows, interior room. Even though we're not saying this is a tornado, but straight line winds, 80 miles an hour, that is destructive, all right? So severe thunderstorm warning for, again, Madison County, southern parts of Clark, back into southern Fayette, Jessamine, over into Garrett County, paid in here. That's a destructive severe thunderstorm warning, and another severe thunderstorm warning, and that one goes here for parts of Garrett County, back into Mercer, and also into eastern Danville. So several storms here, Peyton, and they, hail, damaging winds, heavy rain, tons of lightning.
All right, yeah, that's right, Justin, and we're going to continue to track this destructive severe thunderstorm warning as well. And I just want to point out areas in our eastern Kentucky communities from Irvin and areas like that. We want you guys to still be on standby. Beattyville, Boonville, McKee, you guys need to be watching this because it is working your way. All right, we're looking at Clifton Road now in the Versailles area. You can see tree limbs down in the roadway from our live drive cam. We have a crew out there right now. They're continuing to watch this again. Looks like Clifton Road, some trees down there. We'll continue to compile all of these storm reports and try to bring you pictures across central Kentucky this evening as we're continuing to track these storms. But as I was saying, we're continuing to watch this push off to the south, south, and east there over the next several hours. And for that reason, the National Weather Service has now included most of eastern Kentucky and southern Kentucky back towards the Lake Cumberland region is now under that severe thunderstorm watch. This now goes until 4 a.m. The rest of central Kentucky here remains under that tornado watch. Notice northeastern communities not under anything right now. We'll continue to watch that. But again, from Powell, Wolf, Breathitt, and Knott County southward there, and same story around the Lake Cumberland region. Severe thunderstorm watch now until 4 a.m. this evening. Really quick before we go to break, I do want to show you some power outages. Right now we're 400 in Woodford County, looks like 1,000 up in Franklin County. Looks like we have some new ones now in Jessamine County, so we'll get a count on that when we come back in just a little bit. All right, stay with us. We're continuing to track the strong to severe storms over our newscast this evening. We'll have another update coming up in just a couple minutes.
You're watching Fox 56 News. Our home, your news.
All right, thanks for staying with us here. Another quick weather update. If you're just tuning in, 1040 severe thunderstorm warnings across the region, but these are destructive severe thunderstorm warnings. What we mean by that is there is the potential in northern Madison County, north of Richmond at the moment, for hail to the size of baseballs. Rare to see that here. Potential also exists with these storms coming back out of Garrett County here north of Lancaster between Bergen and Nicholasville for winds nearly 70 miles an hour, maybe stronger. These are storms that you need to obviously stay inside. Don't be looking outside at these storms with these at least destructive things that they could be bringing, damaging winds and large hail. All right, we're back with more news after the break.
You're watching Fox 56 News. Our home, your news. From Fox 56 News, the weather authority, this is a severe weather alert.
All right, we're staying with you here. 10:44 your time right now. Destructive severe thunderstorm warning still in effect here for Madison County. That's until 11:15, but it's not just Madison County. It also goes back over into parts of Jessamine County and even a sliver here of parts of Garrett County up into Clark too. Now, new severe thunderstorm warnings for Estill, Powell County, over into Lee, parts of Owsley, parts of Jackson County here. That goes until 11:30. That's again a bunch of lead time on this storm that is capable of producing hail to the size of baseballs coming through the northern part of Madison County. Here's Richmond right now. Obviously, Richmond, you're about to and already are on the north and west side of town and really into town at the moment. Heavy rain, likely still some hail. The greatest hail, though, is just north of town. Red House, and it's going to be going down toward Union City, down to Moberly and College Hill, eventually likely down to Fox. This is the track that the largest hail, potentially baseball-size hail, is going. Union City, 10:51, Moberly, 10:55, down to Elliston at 10:56, and College Hill, 10:57. There's that destructive hail, potentially, okay? The radar is indicating, it's trying to say that it's expecting potential hail 4 inches in diameter, okay? So that's larger than baseball. That would be up near softball size hail. But Weather Service is saying baseball size hail, definitely a possibility, and winds 70 miles an hour or stronger. So let's look at that part of the storm, all right? Let's look inside the winds. You can see it looks like at least some broad rotation showing up there. Let me switch products again. Yep, we've got some rotation here. It's broad, but still near the Red House area. We could even without the large hail, we've got winds near 70 miles an hour, and there could be enough weak rotation that I would not, on the leading edge of that, rule out a spin-up tornado. That's something we have to watch. Further back to the west, though, and to the south, we have had some very strong winds coming through Jessamine County, where we have seen a ton of power outages, and Peyton's going to talk about that in a minute, but I want to just show you what the winds are looking like and why we've had several trees that are down. Heard in the Wilmore area of nearby there, a jackknife tractor trailer. This is northern Garrett, and here is the southern part of Jessamine County near 27. Let me clear off some of the warnings here so you can see some of the communities. We're going to send it over to Peyton in just a second. Let me just get a quick update on Little Hickman over toward Pollard, Edenton, Cottonburg, Ruthven, Crow Valley. This is where some of the strongest winds are going to be pushing through, okay? So we're talking about very small communities in southern parts of Jessamine and over into Madison County, and even our friends in Garrett County, north of Lancaster there, Peyton. So a lot to track with these storms. Again, looks like here we got rotation that is definitely starting to tighten up here, Peyton. Looking at our signature on, look at that. Again, you're tracking the power outage problem, but I'm looking at the radar again, starting to detect even more rotation here. And I want to see what the Weather Service is saying on that. Definitely starting to see at least some broad rotation beginning to tighten up, Peyton. I'm going to send it over to you, and I'm going to get some more information about this part of the storm.
Yeah, we'll definitely continue tracking that for you. Again, that's in Madison County, just to the north of Richmond. So we'll continue watching that. But I do want to take a look at these power outages. It's pretty impressive, especially in Jessamine County. 10,000 people right now without power, 2,000 customers in Lexington. So I want to emphasize here, 500 in Anderson, 600 Mercer, 1,000 customers down in Boyle County. And this is not people affected, this is customers. So one household counts as a customer. So that could impact 4, 5, 6 people. You never know. So a lot of people impacted by these power outages here. 100 up in Cynthiana, 2,000 once you head out towards Lawrenceburg, 1,000 up in Franklin County. So again, that's these winds are definitely taking down some of these trees and power lines, causing power outages, especially with this destructive storm that is now working through portions of Madison County. I want to look at radar really quickly. You can see we likely have some hail here just to the north of Richmond. This just crossed I-75, northern portions of Madison County. And again, if you're in Irvin, even Sand Gap, McKee, back towards Beattyville and Boonville, you need to be on the lookout over the next hour or so as this is continuing to work off to the south and east. The other story we've been tracking is the lightning. It pretty much just looks like a blur on the screen because there is so many lightning strikes showing up on radar here. I do want to go out really quick to our camera that is in the Madison-Fayette County line. This is at the Clays Ferry Bridge along I-75. You can see in the lights there, very heavy rainfall. Good news is not a lot of people on the roadways. Even looks like we might be seeing some ponding on the roadways. So that's going to be the case across the area this evening. Heavy rainfall, the threat for hail, damaging winds, lightning. We're talking about all the threats this evening. Justin is trying to get some information right now on that rotation that we were tracking back in portions of Madison County. So while he continues to do that, I'm going to back things up, kind of recap. Again, we're continuing to see the lightning here across the area and very heavy rainfall. We're also likely seeing some hail here, especially just to the north and east of Richmond, where these darker shadings are. This is likely a hail core where could be seeing ping pong ball, golf ball size hail. I know we talked about some radar indicated baseball size hail with this. So likely, again, this is tagged as a destructive severe thunderstorm. So that also means we could be dealing with winds of nearly 70 to 80 miles per hour. So a lot of threats here. Again, I want to point out Stanton, Irvin, Sand Gap, McKee, Beattyville, even down towards Jackson. You all need to be on the lookout over the next couple of hours as this is slowly but surely making its way to southeastern portions of the viewing area. I'm going to step out of the frame really quick so we can take a look at one of our tower cams really quickly, and then we're going to send things to break. But I just want to show you really quick what things look like outside our studios here in Lexington. It is improving, but we're still seeing that frequent lightning there up on the camera. We're going to continue to track these storms as the night goes on. Heavy rainfall, hail, again, damaging winds. We're tracking it all, the power outages. We'll have much more coming up in just a few minutes.
Scan the QR code on your screen now and download the Fox 56 News app, sponsored by the Kentucky Lottery. Over $4.4 billion in grants and scholarships. From Fox 56 News, the Weather Authority, this is a severe weather alert.
All right, welcome back. Continuing to track severe thunderstorms across the region this evening. Right here in the bottom, or at least in the left-hand box, that is our Vasi Prokos is heading into Woodford County, Clifton. That's the Clifton Road area where we're seeing some tree damage. And then over into Madison County, we showed you in the other box there of the strong gusty winds that is moving through the Richmond area on that camera. Destructive severe thunderstorm warning remains in place for Jessamine County, also into Madison County. Those warnings go until this evening at 11:15. So we're talking about a little more, about 20 minutes from now. Southern parts of Clark County, and then more warnings severe for Estill, Powell, over to Lee and over to Jackson. Our friends in Garrett County this evening. You're under a severe thunderstorm warning till 11:30. So is northern Lincoln, eastern parts of Boyle, and also over into eastern Mercer. Why? Well, because we are looking at thunderstorms right now that are producing some heavy rain and winds that have the capability of going upwards of 60 to 70 miles an hour. Where? Well, Lancaster, you're looking at winds 60 plus miles an hour, heavy rain, and that continues up even into Richmond right now, gusts 60 plus possible. And then we've still got that potential for some very large hail northeast of Richmond here, and we've already had some reports just moments ago of at least ping pong ball size hail. So again, some large hail, Peyton, moving through.
Yeah, and I actually just turned our tower cam on top of our studio here in Chevy Chase. This is looking towards the south and east, towards those storms. And again, we're continuing to see that lightning flashing very frequently. There it goes once again. We'll continue to watch that. Let's take a look really quick at the watches and warnings. Again, if you're just tuning in, Portions of southeastern Kentucky now under a severe thunderstorm watch that goes until 4 a.m. It looks like we're going to let the tornado warning expire at its time at 11 for most of central Kentucky as these storms are now working to the south and east. Stay with us. We'll have much more weather coverage. We're tracking these severe storms after the break.
Scan the QR code on your screen now and download the Fox 56 News app, sponsored by the Kentucky Lottery. Over $4.4 billion in grants and scholarships. From Fox 56 News, the Weather Authority, this is a severe weather alert.
All right, we're live here, and I'm showing you video that came in from Chris Hall, storm chaser, and he is in Madison County right now and at the Buc-ee's, actually, because you can see the big sign there. He is seeking shelter, he did, under, obviously, the awning where the gas pumps are. Look at just the sheet of rain, how strong these winds are. Again, they issued that severe thunderstorm warning, and it's still in place. Destructive severe thunderstorm with winds 70 to maybe 80 miles an hour. So that's one of our first videos that we're getting in from, obviously, that particular storm. Okay, so let's take a look at here on the right side box is a camera that's actually in Richmond right now. Look at the trees just whipping. Look at the vivid lightning. Then over in Woodford County, we have our Vasi Proko. She is out driving, looking at where we've had some damage. Okay, they're likely heading toward the Wilmore area where we've had reports of not only trees down, and we've seen trees down in Woodford County too, but also some other reports of some significant damage and maybe even a tractor trailer that was jackknifed, according to emergency managers down in the Wilmore area. Okay, so we'll be watching all of these areas very closely, and we were letting you know as these storms were coming in. Let's take a look here at the radar at the moment, and if we get any more video, obviously I'm going to show it to you throughout the rest of this evening. All right, so we have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings still in place. The one for Madison County, also there is one that continues all the way back into parts of, again, this is Boyle County, this is Mercer County. Several warnings that are showing up here. Let me set my phone down here because I want to kind of give a quick little reset of all the warnings that we've got across our viewing area. Things definitely looking a little bit messy on the radar for you, and I want to give you a little bit clearer picture. What we're showing you is the velocity shot, and this is what the winds are doing inside the thunderstorm. At the moment right now, we're not seeing any rotation that would indicate, okay, there is a tornado, but we definitely have the potential for some straight line winds. Now, there is broad rotation here in this latest scan. You just saw it update east of Richmond. You have the greens, the winds going toward the radar, and the radar's in Jackson. And then the reds are the winds that are blowing away from the radar. So when these two are next to each other here east of Richmond, there is some broad rotation for sure. We've got some winds that are heading east. When you're going east here out of Richmond, and on your way over toward Estill County, on your way making your trip there toward Irvin, you're running obviously for sure into heavy rain, large hail, and the potential again for some damaging winds in excess of 60 miles an hour heading toward Fox. Next down the line obviously is going to be Irvin. It's going to be Ravenna. It's going to be down here in Estill County. And then down the line from that, it's going to be over into parts of Lee County. Back to the west, we're looking at more storms. Let me go back to your standard radar view here. Big time storms, heavy rain coming through Lancaster. It's about to be east of there. So the worst is about to clear out of the Lancaster area. But boy, is it really raining to beat the band. And are we talking still some very strong winds coming through the eastern and southeastern part of Garrett County. Let me get some smaller communities because winds on this warning, the Weather Service said are capable of going up near 70 miles an hour here as well. Hackley, Point Level, Hyattsville, you get over toward Lau, over toward Paint Lick, Wollaston, Buggytown, over toward Ferristown. These are all small communities coming again in through Garrett County. And then if we kind of widen back out the view, we're looking out of Garrett and into the southern part of Madison County. Berea, heavy rain, really talking some gusty winds. Yes, hail is still on the table. We had reports earlier of some ping pong ball size hail that was reported a mile north of Richmond within the last 30 minutes. The largest hail right now is east of Richmond over toward Moberly, and it's going to be heading toward the Fox area, okay? And that's what this latest storm track's going to show us. Winston, Witt, Nolan, and then again, obviously over toward Irvin. These are the times that large hail is expected to head toward you. I'm talking about ping pong ball size hail or larger. Again, Nolan 1119, West Irvin 1121, South Irvin 1124, Ravenna 1126. So not moving necessarily all that fast. You can see hail size has gone down. The radar estimates at about 2 inches, but still that is hail that can do some damage. And there is a hail report back earlier. Now our friends that are watching us much further west, we have some storms that are ongoing through Harrodsburg at the moment. Again, none of these are severe anymore. Same story back into Washington County, Marion County outside of our viewing area. But the reason we're watching them is because they're going south and they'll work their way back into parts of Boyle and over into Casey County. Lincoln County, you're on the southern flank of this part of some very strong storms here. A lot of lightning showing up in Stanford now. Some gustier winds probably, but the strongest winds are north of you and for your neighbors in Garrett and over into Madison County. Next in line 2, severe thunderstorm warnings for Rockcastle and Jackson counties. Those warnings expire here at 11:45. Same story for over into parts of Jackson County. We can reposition that. That's actually till 11:30. Let me put this box at the top so you're able to see things a little bit more clearly. And again, warnings even go down to the south here. We said into Jackson. Let me reposition it. We're going to go even into parts of Laurel County, not including London yet, but close until 11:45. So a lot of warnings here to track. Peyton Hinkle is also in the studio with me. He's been tracking these storms. He's been checking in with the National Weather Service. We stay in constant communication with them. They are our partners, the meteorologists there. They give us updates about what's happening. They find information from you and also from storm spotters. Peyton, what are you hearing? What are you seeing right now on the hail and power outage side of this storm?
Yeah, well, the big thing right now is those power outages. We're continuing to track those. Just got an update actually out of Madison County. We're up to 1,000 customers now without power. 12,000 is the latest update out in Jessamine County. Here in Fayette County, 2,500, 900 out in Mercer County, 1,500 in Boyle County, 500 customers now in Anderson County, or should I say Woodford County, 2,000 in Anderson, 1,000 up in Franklin County. So still dealing with those power outages this evening. And look back towards the Louisville area. Again, they were hit with these storms pretty hard this evening as well. 20,000 people in Jefferson County, or should I say customers in Jefferson County, are without power. I am going to switch things over because I did put a tracker here for some for some communities that this is now working down into southeastern portions of our area. You can see Drip Rock, Sand Springs, Riviera. All of you need to be in your safe spot now indoors. As this is beginning to work your direction. Foxtown 1110, Gotchaland 1110, Alumba 1111. These are just a few of those communities that this is beginning to work in their direction. So we will continue to watch that as the evening goes on. I do want to clear those off though, just so you can see if you have the radar. We still do have this destructive severe thunderstorm warning here that continues for Madison County. This storm, it looks like the hail core now is beginning to weaken slightly. You can see that right here as it's about to cross into portions of Estill County. So Irvin back towards Boonville, McKee, Mount Vernon down in Rockcastle County. Again, we were talking about those areas that haven't really seen much today. We're now beginning to see these severe thunderstorm warnings begin to get extended. Once you're back towards the metro here in Lexington, even Nicholasville, things much more calm than they were just moments ago. Same story back towards Frankfort, Harrodsburg, and Danville. We're continuing to see some heavier rainfall, but things are calming down just a bit. Areas up along I-64 from Mount Sterling, Montgomery County, back towards Moorhead, Stanton, West Liberty, even in portions of northern Morgan County, all dealing with light to moderate rain. Nothing severe for you right now. The focus continues to be this destructive severe thunderstorm now. Again, from places like Richmond, Berea, Mount Vernon, be on the lookout, even London. Manchester, areas like Jackson and Boonville all need to be on the lookout and be prepared over the next hour or so as these are continuing to push off to the south and east. I also want to zoom things out just a touch and slide it over here. You can see back off to the west, just to the south of Elizabethtown, right along Western Kentucky Parkway here, working along I-65 there. Back towards Lebanon and Campbellsville. These are getting closer to our viewing area, and they have a history of producing hail, damaging winds, and things of that nature as well. And they are now working right on the doorstep of Liberty, Russell Springs, down in Russell County, portions of Pulaski County. So again, if you're not in a warning just yet, you need to be ready to go to get to your safe spot. Just in case, as these are continuing to push off to the south and east. Again, right now in the viewing area, let's just recap this really quickly. Still have that destructive severe thunderstorm warning for Madison County till 11:15. Severe thunderstorm warning for Jackson, Lee, and Estill County. That goes until 11:30 this evening. And then this newer one was just put into place for portions of Rockcastle. It looks like Laurel County and Jackson County. That goes until 11:30. So that's just this storm that's moving through the Berea area right now. That's working in your direction over the next several minutes. Justin?
Yeah, Peyton, we're continuing to watch, obviously, these storms that you were tracking there going through Madison County. I actually have a picture that came from a viewer. This is from Brian Sizemore in Richmond. All right, so I'm going to zoom in, obviously, to the picture, the size of that hail. That's about golf ball size hail, or at least ping pong, very close to that. They came through the Richmond area a very short time ago. So when you see hail this large, this falling, that's enough that it can even do damage to your car, but it also can do damage to anyone that may be out and about, which is why we always say don't be outside when these storms are coming through. Now let me scan through. While we've got that pulled up, I'm going to show you the radar. Several other kind of pictures and some video from earlier. I want to show you a video as I scroll back through here. A pretty cool lightning shot from Danny Pendleton. Drone video from a thunderstorm over Lexington earlier this evening. But it definitely, while we got it, I want to show this looping. Look, he had his drone up as the storm was continuing to move through. And obviously on our home view cameras, we were showing you this evening shots that look just like that. Cloud to ground lightning, dangerous, but then look how prolific that is. Cloud to ground, and then within the cloud, big bolts of lightning ongoing across the area. So let me show you the radar right now. Appreciate the pictures and the video. If you'd like to send in your pictures and video, just search for my name, Justin Logan, Fox 56 on Facebook or on Twitter. You'll be able to find me. All right, we've got these storms that you see all the flashes of lightning here with those storms that are rolling through not only Madison County, but things are really lining up back to the west. You can see it's kind of like a broken line here that's kind of wiggling across the region. This back edge of the storms coming back into Harrodsburg. Not severe yet. Had a viewer that was there just a minute ago to ask me what were things looking like there. Yes, frequent lightning, heavy rain, maybe some small hail that's trying to move back in to Harrodsburg, but nothing severe there. Same story to Springfield and in Lebanon. Danville, you're just dealing with rain right now. Maybe a wind gust here and there, 20, 30 miles an hour, but nothing at least severe at the moment. It's these storms that are off to the east, and looks like that, Peyton, they just upgraded the Estill, Powell, and you may have said, did you say this a minute ago, that they updated to destructive?
No, I honestly can't remember. They just updated it. It looks like just a few minutes ago at 11:09.
Okay.
So, it looks like destructive tag on it once again. 80-mile-per-hour winds. That's radar indicated, with the potential for 2-inch in diameter hail. Once you get to that point, that's about a lime or like an egg size hail. So,
I mean, that's some large hail. I mean, here in Kentucky, I mean, we can get quarter-size hail. We can see that somewhat frequently. But when we're talking about golf ball, or earlier, even the potential for that ping pong, and at times there was a shot that maybe the hail was up to the size of baseballs. That is rare for us, but definitely damaging nonetheless. I'm starting on the front edge of this all right, because they were two kind of separate cells initially, all right? Starting to see this kind of come together as one and kind of like an arcing feature on the front edge of that. What's the forward movement, Peyton, on those storms that are moving out of into Estill County right now in that new warning? Did they say?
Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull it up really quickly. It looks like moving to the southeast at around 40 miles per hour. So pretty slow out there, 40 miles per hour.
Not as fast as it was just a little bit ago, because it had picked up to 50.
And again, we're seeing that radar indicated 80 mile per hour wind gusts possible with up to 2-inch hail. That's pretty impressive, as you were talking about.
Right here, okay? So now we're getting closer to the radar, which is over in Jackson. Here's Irvin. We actually have a co-worker that lives down here, Matt Hall. I hope you and your family are safe right now and in shelter, because here's Irvin. Lives here. We've got winds inside West Irvin, South Irvin that are potentially 70 to 80 miles an hour, where you see these lighter shades of blue showing up. Let me throw on, again, there's Ravenna. Let me give you some smaller communities. Again, we're going to get a new updated scan. All of these are roads here. Rural area, but we're talking about on top of Red Lick Road. We're talking about in the Jinx community, Horns River Road, also Noland. This is going to be heading over toward Wagersville. So all of these areas further to the south, we're talking even over toward Drip Rock. You see the updated scan and even brighter shades of blue on the radar, all right? So this is some strong straight line winds that can do damage. If you know anybody here, and just give them as much lead time as possible. If you know anybody in Jackson County, if you know anybody in Lee County, and really if you're in Estill County, it's obviously too late, but what I was going to say is if you know anybody in a mobile home, a trailer that lives in Jackson, that lives in Lee County, tell them they need to get out. And it looks like we have a new tornado warning just popped up here, and it's for that storm.
Like Justin, yeah, just to the south of Irvin. I got the rotation up here. Looks like that. I pulled that up just before the warning was issued. You can see that rotation right here where I've circled here. And again, now a tornado warning for portions of Estill County. So for sure, if you're not already in your safe place, you need to go ahead and do that now. Justin's going to go ahead and try to get some updated information on this. But again, this is the area right here where I've circled, where we're seeing some rotation. You see that couplet where the greens and reds come together? That indicates the winds moving away from and towards the radar. So that's how we can kind of track that rotation there. Again, this is just to the south and east of the Irvin community there in Estill County. This also goes into it looks like Lee County as well. So Beattyville, western portions of Beattyville are included in this severe, or should I say tornado warning right now. I'm actually going to go ahead here and see if we can get some updated info. Justin's working on that right now. Again, rotation right now is right in this area. I'm going to go ahead and put a storm track on this so we can talk about some of the communities in this path. So if you're in the Shade community, 1138, this rotation is working its way towards you. Oil Landing, 1156. Yellow Rock, 1203. So this is crossing in past the midnight hour. Heidelberg 1214 and Crestmont 1216. If you're in these communities in Estill and into Lee County, you need to now get into your safe place. This is a tornado warning. Again, so this goes, let me just pull this up just to make sure we get it all. Estill County, again, until 1130. This includes Lee County as well. And we also are continuing that destructive severe thunderstorm warning. You can see this couplet very clearly, once again, where those reds and greens come together. That's looks like we just got an update on the radar, but where those reds and greens come together, that's indicating the winds moving away from and towards the radar. Again, this is moving into portions of Estill, looks like southeastern portions of Estill County and back into portions of Lee County. Justin.
Yeah, I was just looking there at the Weather Service, and they're issued that tornado warning and also the potential that this storm has ping pong ball size hail, all right, associated with it. So now rotation east of Irvin, and this is the spot that I was just calling out a minute ago, the Wagersville community, all right? Remember I was telling you that some strong straight line winds there, but on the kind of leading edge of that, you see how there's kind of a bit in the at least in the velocity picture, it looks like there's a bit of a spin here. So if I kind of highlight right in this zone as Peyton was highlighting is where we have a bit of rotation and why that they issued that tornado warning. So if you live inside Estill County, and this is about to cross out of Estill. Let me wind back out the view here, okay? So here's Beattyville, here's Heidelberg, and so we're talking about over into Lee County. Here's Wolf, here's Lee, here's Owsley, and here's Estill County. All right, so this storm is going to work its way out of Estill and into Lee. So if you know anybody right now in Lee County that may not be awake, go ahead and give them a call. Same story even in Estill County, okay? Give them a call and say, there's a tornado warning, you need to wake up. You need to get into your safe place. That's that lowest floor of your home. If you have a basement, that's the best place. A lot of us around here don't have basements, unfortunately. So if you don't, the lowest floor, interior room, away from windows, that's going to, a lot of times it's going to be a closet. A lot of times it's going to be a bathroom, a room that you just don't want to be in a room with that has windows. Get some blankets, get some cushions off the couch, get a helmet, put it on the kids, baseball helmet, football helmet, cover up, okay? That's going to give you as much protection if we've got a tornado or not. If we've got a tornado, though, you want to be definitely taking those precautions we just outlined. Let me give you some smaller communities here. We're going to zoom in and we're going to show you obviously some smaller areas. So Evelyn, over toward Pinnacle, Old Landing, Mount Olive, there's Willow, here's Crystal, here's Miller's Creek. So we go from Estill County and over into Lee County, and that tornado warning goes until 11:30. There's a new scan. So we're looking at this storm and we're looking to find rotation, okay? Let me show you another tool that we use. Our shear track here often is there to track for where we often have some strong winds, but we also look at it for our rotation. You see green, that's on the weaker side of the scale, but we also have some red showing up, pockets of red there. As we roll east through Estill County, that means that there is at least a shot for some strong rotation. So let's come back in on the radar, right in those communities that I was just calling out. Bear with me, it just really zoomed in. Old Landing, Evelyn Road, there is Old Landing Road, there's Texola, Old Landing, all of these kind of rural areas right along the river here as we're working our way through parts of Estill County. So here's Irvin. So we're east and south of Irvin now. All right, now Irvin's still likely looking at some heavier rain and still some gusty winds there. But let me go back to the standard view. Yes, look, pouring the rain and still likely hailing for sure. In Irvin, in West Irvin, South Irvin, Ravenna, back down into the western part of Estill County. Still raining heavily. But where we have a shot for rotation, you see that little notch there? This is where we would have a bit of inflow into the storm being drawn in, into the winds coming out of the storm like that. So in between here, the shade area I was just mentioning, Old Landing Road, Pinnacle, where we all have at least a shot at a tornado. Even without a tornado, remember the destructive tag, destructive severe thunderstorm warning on this storm itself, 70, 80 mile per hour straight line winds. That can do as much damage as a weak tornado easily, okay? So again, that warning even includes Beattyville and Heidelberg. That warning goes over into Lee County. That's also for you until 11:30. I want to kind of widen back out here. A lot of big storms. That's the only tornado warning, but obviously we've got a few other severe thunderstorm warnings to go through too. These going through Berea and also down, and we'll be approaching Mount Vernon. Peyton, you have obviously the places to go, and we were just outlining that a minute ago, but it is worth reiterating. And this graphic just shows you the best place to be in your home.
Yeah, that's right. If you are in Lee and Estill counties at this time under that tornado warning, and maybe you don't have a basement, we always recommend you go to that most interior room. That might be a bathroom or a closet, maybe a closet under a staircase. That is the best place to go if you don't have a basement. Obviously, if you do, go downstairs into your basement. And as Justin was talking about, make sure you get blankets, mattresses, pillows, cover yourself to protect you from any of those winds or damage that could be taking place to your house. Obviously, you want to protect your head and get down in the position. We always teach this in schools when you get down in that position for tornado warnings. You can see, again, if you are in a house without a basement, go to the most interior room. That could be a bathroom. Get in the bathtub if that is the room for you. You basically want to avoid windows, get to the centermost point of your home. And of course, if you do have a basement, go to that lowest level as soon as possible as we're continuing to track these severe thunderstorms this evening. Again, that tornado warning continues for Estill and Lee County. We're going to put a tracker on it in just a second to highlight some of those communities. We're also tracking the risk for damaging hail this evening, damaging winds. And I want to go ahead and see if the control room can pull up the box of the live cameras we have across the area. I know we have a crew out in a couple areas right now. I don't know if that's available, but let's see. Looks like our crew is still out in Woodford County this evening. Things looking much better there, but you can still see plenty of lightning out in the distance. Same thing out in Richmond. Things are improving across those areas. Heavy rainfall continuing. Again, we're tracking that tornado warning for Estill and Lee County this evening. We're going to continue to watch that over the next several minutes. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the radar here and point out some of these communities that this is working its way towards. You can see if you are, rotation is pretty broad at this point. If I had to pinpoint one area right now, it would be right in here where you kind of see this couplet right here. I'm going to, if I can here, going to circle that just so you can see. This is the area where we're seeing a tighter couplet of that rotation where the reds and greens are kind of coming together and meeting. So if there is a spin-up tornado right now, this is where it would be. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at some of these communities about to be impacted here. If you're in Heidelberg, Beattyville, back towards Lee County, go ahead and get into your safe space. I want to try to zoom in and see if we can get some rows. Evelyn, this is right over you right now. Pinnacle, Old Landing, Willow, Mount Olivet as well. Just off to the east there, Yellow Rock, Heidelberg, Bell Point. I'll step out of the way so you can see a few more of these. Again, Beattyville. Even areas that are not included in this warning yet, as this continues to push off to the east, we're continuing to watch that. Again, the rotation is not as tight as it was just a little bit ago when Justin was showing it on radar with the latest radar scan. I'm actually going to go ahead here and see if we can pull up some of that shear. So this is over the past hour. So shear kind of helps us see, that's one of the ingredients needed for when we get this spin, when we get some of this spin with these tornadoes. It's some of the ingredients needed for that. You can see some shear right now in this tornado warned area that we're continuing to watch. And again, this is that area that I was pointing out where the rotation is showing up the most. It's not as tight of a couplet right now as it was just a little bit ago, but again, it is still under a tornado warning right now. And honestly, there's a couple areas we could be looking at here right around the Pinnacle community. And same story when you're down just to, it looks like the east of Willow and even Yellow Rock. You can kind of see where the reds and greens meet. That's what we're looking for. But again, it's not as tight of a couplet as we were seeing just earlier. But again, this tornado warning continuing right now for Estill and Lee counties. If we go ahead and take a wider look here at just everything, we're also tracking these hail cores and things as well. You can see likely just to the south of Irvin here, likely some hail. Same thing just to the north of Sand Gap. So that's why these are tagged as destructive severe thunderstorms. So places like Beattyville, Boonville, even portions of Breathitt County, all need to be on the lookout as these storms are working your way. Something we haven't had a chance to mention really either is this flash flood warning now for Madison County. This is just to the north of Richmond. Those areas that were really impacted by this very heavy rain now under that flash flood warning. That goes until 2:30 this morning. We're about to cross the midnight hour in about the next 30 minutes or so. So that goes until 2:30 this morning. Very heavy rainfall has already occurred. And look at this. We're seeing these reds fill back in once again. While they're not severe, it's very heavy rainfall, which is kind of insult to injury here for some of these communities as it's moving over these areas that have already been worked over with heavy rain, damaging winds, possibly some damaging hail as well. We're continuing to watch those reports come in. So again, northern Madison County, right along the Kentucky River there, just to the south of it, I should say, is where that severe, or should I say flash flood warning is right now. If we take a wider look at things right now from Mount Vernon, even portions of northern Laurel County along I-75, if you're traveling on I-75 this evening, it's likely a mess out there with a heavy rainfall and again, gusty winds. The good news is that last check, when I checked some of our road cameras down I-75, not a lot of people out on the roadways, and obviously we're continuing to advise that. If you can, stay at home this evening as we're continuing to watch this. Tornado warning continues again for portions of Estill working into Lee County. Beattyville, again, needs to be on the lookout. Let's go ahead and zoom back in on that just so we can get a better look here at exactly what's happening. And again, the rotation is fairly broad at this time as we're continuing to watch it here. Again, it looks pretty broad. If there was any rotation right now, likely coming towards the Beattyville area. But again, it's not as tight as of a couplet, I should say, as it was just a little bit ago, Justin. So that is some good news. But again, you still want to treat it as if this is a tornado on the ground because it does not take long, especially in these scenarios, for tornadoes to spin up very quickly and can cause damage and, of course, injury. So we want to make sure people are taking this seriously. Get to your safe place this evening. Justin.
Yeah, even with, like you were just saying, even without that potential for rotation being as at least as pronounced as it was when they first issued this tornado warning, when you're looking inside this thunderstorm alone, look at the strong straight line winds all through here, okay? Which is why they issued that destructive tag on there. Let me put this, let me move the lightning box out of the way and then you can see what I'm talking about. This is the warning, severe thunderstorm warning. They may have taken off the destructive tag because it would normally show up when we're highlighting the counties. All right, but regardless, severe thunderstorm warning, winds could be upwards of still about 60 to 70 miles an hour. That is enough that they did take off the destructive tag. They did. Okay, but and the tornado warning canceled too. But still here, not letting the guard down because when you're looking at winds, let me just show you. We'll pixel query a few of these. We're talking only about 50, 60 right now. So that's why they obviously took off the destructive tag. Destructive tag is there when winds or hail are looking 70, the winds 70 plus miles an hour or stronger, that they'll put that on there. Hail, usually they can be like baseball size. So it heightens the threat level that this is not just a typical severe thunderstorm that is 58 mile per hour wind gusts or hail the size of quarters. It's stronger than that. Well, this has weakened below that, but still, obviously, a severe thunderstorm means that severe. That 58 mile per hour wind gusts can still bring down tree limbs, can still bring down, again, do some damage to your property or pick trash cans up, trampolines up. We see that a lot. It doesn't take much wind to pick that up. And then you have a big object like a trampoline just flying across the air and could hit your house. All right, and that can do damage. So Beattyville and Heidelberg, stay in your really safe place, hunker down until the storm passes by. It also includes the Boonville area, so we're talking Lee and Owsley County. Again, the tornado warning expired. Now it's just that more straight line wind event, and that also includes even Jackson County. Here's McKee, and here is back down to Owsley County. But the strongest winds are in Lee and back over into Jackson County, north and northeast of McKee. Let me give you a quick little reset here since we're with you and go through all of the number of counties that are currently under warnings. The main warnings that we have in our viewing area are with this first initial band of very heavy rain. Lightning, still likely some hail with that, but that is looking a little bit weaker. Still some pretty loud storms, and yeah, likely even some stronger storms coming through Danville now. Also about to cross back over into Garrett County, so another round of rain there. It's crossing over into Lincoln County. Here's Stanford. Here's Liberty, so we're into Casey County now. This line of storms is coming southeast. Not severe, but we could definitely be looking at winds in this part of the storm. Let me switch radars. This is going to take us closer to where these storms are. We could see winds here, maybe gusting to 40, 30 to 40. So not terrible, but It's going to be loud because look at all the lightning. That means there is tons of thunder, pretty much constant, and heavier rain. Danville, Perryville, back down into the northern tip of Casey County, up to Harrodsburg, same story. That's going to keep moving east. But the storms that we're watching right now that have, yes, strong enough winds that are severe are in Estill still, Lee, Owsley, Jackson, and also back to the south, it goes into Mount Vernon, which is Rockcastle County, and also for our friends down to the south in Laurel County. So a number of warnings that are still out there. And the strongest winds are still up in parts of Lee County, coming into Beattyville right now, and also coming into Heidelberg. Here's a closer view. Boonville, you will be next. Let me switch back radars because now we're looking at storms into eastern Kentucky. And for the better picture, we want the bird's eye view of the radar that's closest to it. And that's the one that's right here in Breathitt County out of Jackson. It's shooting right into that storm. Got a direct view of it. Let me look back and see, do we have any hail still with this storm? Okay. All right, we're going to show you what's called the Barron button. This is the fancy term for our radars technology, and it looks inside the storm. It searches for rain, searches for wind, it searches for hail, and it highlights what it thinks are the greatest severe threats. Rain's going to be all in green shades. Purples when you start talking hail. Look here in Lee County. Again, we saw this. This is the same storm that had hail that was potentially the size of baseballs in parts of northern Madison County. But the largest reports that we were able to get were, again, for ping pong ball size hail. Right now, could be looking at about, I would say, pretty close to ping pong ball size hail. That is a mouthful. That's coming into Lee County west of Beattyville, okay? And also back down to the south and southwest in McKee. What I want to do real quick here, because we've got other storms, and go back, look at the storm reports up here in Richmond. I'm actually live on the air going to give Chris Hall a call, okay? And I'm just going to hold the phone up here because he's already texted me earlier. And he's a storm chaser, 606 storm chaser, and he told me to call him today. He was tracking the storm earlier as it was coming through. Madison County, and he was the one that we showed you the video that was coming through, and he was under the awning that was there at the gas station, at the Buc-ee's gas station into Madison County. So we're going to call him up on the phone. I'm going to hold the phone up to my microphone here so we can hear him, and because he had some damage.
Hello?
Hey, Chris, this is Justin. You're live on the air. Can you hear me, brother?
Yeah, I hear you just fine. Hey, buddy, we are on Red House Road, which is just north of Richmond. Man, let me tell you, you can't even see the road for the tree debris. And actually just run up on a fine fellow that actually brought some cones out from his house to block the road off. There's some active, I don't know if they're active, but there is some lines across the road on Red House Road. This is pretty... substantial tree limb damage down. I wouldn't say substantial, but there's a lot of tree limb damage. I've not seen a lot in the way of structural damage. That's a very good sign, but however, it is dark, so I can't go into an extent of that. A lot of folks are without power. This whole road is without power, Justin. I do believe something has definitely came through. I experienced personally 70 to 80 mile an hour hurricane force winds south of town. And you know, a lot of these tree limbs may be taken into account for the large hail that came through here, especially with those destructive winds. But we'll let the National Weather Service check this out. But this area of Richmond up towards Red House Road definitely has a lot of tree limb damage and a lot of trees down. So
we appreciate that, Chris. Hey, what about the hail? When you were there, what size hail did you see?
We didn't get any hail down on the south end of Richmond. However, got a lot of reports over on our Chase page having a lot of thunder and lightning still here in Richmond. A lot of reports that there was baseballs to even potentially softballs that came down in the town of Richmond. So.
Okay. Chris, thanks so much for that report. So again, in the Red House area, that's where you're located right now?
Yeah, between Richmond and Red House. So it's right in the middle. You can't see the state route because it's covered in green.
Oh, wow. Well, if you're able, obviously, if it's safe to do so out there, if you have any pictures or video, you can tag me in. I'd love to be able to share that with our viewers here on Twitter and social media. I shared the video that you had earlier when you were at the Buc-ee's. That was I mean, that wind was just sheets. I mean, it was, you could tell how strong it was just from the video that you sent.
Yeah, and that just reminded me of hurricanes. I've done a lot of hurricanes. That was hurricane force wind if I'd ever seen it. So.
All right, well, be safe out there. We appreciate your firsthand account of what's going on to that damage. Be safe up there, and we'll definitely be in touch and look for some pictures and video up there, Chris. Thanks a lot.
All right, sounds good. No problem.
Take care. All right, so live on the air right there, we had 606 storm chaser Chris Hall. He was the one that showed us that video that was at the Buc-ee's. That's the stop off of I-75 south of Richmond, okay? But remember earlier when I was tracking the destructive hail and said that they were issuing, the Weather Service did, destructive 70+ mile-per-hour winds that were coming through northern Madison County? Right through here. That's where that one storm report was showing up. Again, an inch and a half in diameter north of Richmond by about a mile. That was in that Red House area, and this is where that largest hail went. That's also where some of the strongest winds were, and clearly he was telling you right there, firsthand account. We hope to get some video and pictures from him soon, that trees just covering the road. Remember, it doesn't have to be a tornado to create damage. When we've got winds 70, 80 mile per hour on that destructive severe thunderstorm tag, that is the type of damage you can get. It can just knock those trees down like they're twigs, not trees that have been there, some of them, 50, 60, 70 years with strong roots. We're back to big time hail, Lee County. All right, Beattyville, Boonville, you're going to be next, okay? Let me zoom back in. This is hail that could potentially be back to the size, for sure, ping pong, maybe golf ball. So you're about the same size there, golf ball, ping pong. And this Heidelberg, Ida May, Pebworth. Forgive me if I am mispronouncing some of these smaller communities. I'm not familiar with all of them, even living here most of my life. But you know the communities, you see them on the map. This is where some potentially destructive hail is coming. We're looking Lee County, northern Owsley. The radar says 90% chance of hail and 90% chance of severe hail. So these are estimated times that large hail would be coming through. White Ash 1143, Proctor 1145, Beattyville 1146, 1151 Stay, Lone 1155, and then Canyon Falls last on the list at 1157. So some rural areas, but again, not only looking at the threat for some strong winds here, because that was a big factor, but also the shot there again for some large hail, Peyton. I want to look real fast before at the wind one more time to see. Yeah, look at that. I mean, 50 for sure, 60 mile per hour winds on the leading edge of a large hail core, heavy rain, and frequent flashes of lightning. And you're looking at that hail core right now. You've got it 3D, and that gives you a great picture of what it looks like.
Yeah, Justin, I'm going to talk about this in just a second, but first we have some video in from Richmond, courtesy of the Richmond Register there. Looks like some damage near EKU. Looks like near the stadium there on EKU's campus. Looks like it's a lot of debris in the roadway there. Trying to get a little closer just to see, but yeah, some damage right outside of the football stadium there on EKU's campus. Some pretty significant debris. It looks like the police are blocking some of the roadways. We were just on the phone with Chris Hall of 606 Storm Chasing. He was telling us lots of tree limbs down in that area. And of course, we're also getting those reports of that hail. So again, this is from the Richmond Register out there in Richmond. I do want to turn to this storm now that we're tracking right over Beattyville. We got a 3D look. It really gives us a look inside to the tops of these storms and how high they are. And again, as Justin was pointing out, we were talking about that hail potential. You can see it here. It's outlined pretty well in this 3D view right over Beattyville, moving towards Boonville at this time. And again, this really gives us a great view into the inside of the storm, a 3D view. If we kind of change things and look here at our Barron tracker, likely, again, Justin was just talking about 90% chance of hail just to the south of Beattyville. And between Beattyville and Boonville there, likely some destructive hail there at this time. We're also tracking those damaging winds and all of that as well. So again, I also want to look at power outages just really quickly, just to give you an update. We're now in Estill County, 800 customers. In Madison County, 10,000 customers without power. Again, we were talking to Chris Hall. He said the road he was along, everybody was without power there. Madison County, we also continue to have that flash flood warning there. Jessamine County, 12,000 people, or customers, I should say, without power. 2,500 in Fayette. And looks like we've just got some more counties added to this map since I just updated it. So down in Rockcastle County, back towards McKee, 1,000 customers down near Stanford. So again, we're continuing to watch power outages, and that really gives you a sense to how destructive some of these storms can be as they're working to the south and east. We're going to continue to watch this. I want to pull up really quick again that video from the Richmond Register, if the control room can do that for us, just to show some of that damage there in the Richmond area. Again, it was near EKU, if we have that video available, just to kind of give you a sense of some of the things we're seeing. It looked like a lot of debris there. Again, right near the campus of Eastern Kentucky University, we're getting a lot of reports of damage there out of Madison County. Can the control room tell me, can we get that video up? If not, we'll move on. Okay, perfect. So we're getting that in just a second. Again, we've also seen from the video from Chris Hall, lots of heavy rain when he was out at the Buc-ee's there. Here's this video again from the Richmond Register. Just want to show you this. Lots of debris there right near EKU's campus. And again, we don't know exactly what the cause of this was just yet, but we obviously know there was some substantial damage in several of our counties, from Jessamine to Madison. These storms now working their way into portions of southeastern Kentucky now as well. So I want to turn things back to the radar just so we can get a look at exactly what's happening here. If you're near in between Beattyville and Boonville now, look at that core there with some of that substantial, what is likely could be some large hail there that we're continuing to track with this severe thunderstorm warning. Also looks like just came in at 11:44, severe thunderstorm warning, and the National Weather Service is tagging this as a tornado possible with winds of 60 miles per hour. It's all radar indicated. This is down including Russell County. So if we zoom things out just to kind of get an update, this is now impacting some of our southern communities back towards Russell Springs, Liberty, Stanford, all under these severe thunderstorm warnings at this time as well. So we're going to continue to watch this over the next several minutes. Justin, again, it's just a busy night in the weather department here. We're starting to get these reports in. Viewers, if you have photos, videos, you can tag myself or Justin at Peyton Hinkle, at Justin Logan on Twitter, Facebook. Send us those reports when you can do so safely. We want to emphasize, please do not go outside in the middle of a storm, but if you can do so safely, send us those videos. And obviously we have crews out as well tracking these storms, helping us bring you a picture into what's going on across the viewing area.
So you remember earlier and where Chris Hall was telling us where the damage was?
Yes.
And remember, I was tracking the storm. There was no tornado warning, but I said this signature was showing up. We were seeing rotation in a brief scan here at 10:46. This is in that Moberly area. This is up in the Red House Road area. This, again, this was earlier, but the reason I'm going back is because this is the storm. Let me tilt it in 3D here. Here is Richmond, and this is on the north side. Winds toward, winds away, next to each other, okay? And that is the area, and I said that there was rotation. It was only there briefly for a few scans, and then it went south. All right, that's a loop, all right? And then when we go back out, let me zoom back out, and I'm going to show you what we have in terms of some storm reports. Let me stop this. I'm going to take you to the current time. Let's go back into normal 2D picture, and these are some of the storm reports that we have out there. This is coming into northern parts of Madison County. That's obviously a hail marker, and then that we have over here a hail operator. This is west-northwest of Waco, so we're talking in northeastern Madison County. Reported windows broken in house on Meadowbrook Road near Moberly. So that is right in that area where that rotation came earlier. So where is that storm at the moment? It's the storm that is still producing potentially some straight line winds going into Lee and Owsley counties. Here we go. This is really probably the strongest storm for sure that we have in terms of wind, and it also has hail. Here's Beattyville, strongest winds east of Beattyville down to Booneville, and those are moving east. So our friends in Breathitt County, heads up. This storm is coming your way. Let me clear that off, and that way we can show you just particularly in general what we're dealing with. And look, even back to the west now, we have a flash flood warning for Madison County because we first initially had a few storms that were just going through some areas, and then back around 10 o'clock, we started seeing these all kind of lining up right along basically a train track here. Let me go back into the normal radar view. This is going to show you precipitation. This is a storm in Beattyville, torrential rain down into Booneville, and even some hail there, probably still the size of quarters. And again, winds 50 to 60 miles an hour, hail the size of quarters, if not larger, Beattyville down to Booneville. Back to the west, this is still more rain. Look, moving back into Madison County, not severe in Garrett, but definitely a lot of lightning. Look, I've turned the lightning off because there's so much of it. You couldn't hardly see anything. Severe thunderstorms for our friends in Lincoln now and into Casey. That's including Liberty and back over into Dare County. So a whole lot of lightning and storms that here have the capability of producing winds that are about 60 miles an hour. And then also have that flooding threat. So flooding in some spots, but the bigger issue has still been wind that did damage. We had wind damage Wilmore. We had wind damage in parts of Woodford County. We had wind damage that's reported in Madison County, and yet to hear of any reports of damage, wind damage at least, in Estill or into Owsley County. But again, I don't want anybody coming out in Lee or Owsley counties at the moment because that's really where the strongest storm on the map is ongoing. You're looking at that storm, Peyton, right now. It looks like over in parts of Casey and Lincoln County. That warning goes till 12:15. Is that right?
Yeah, and that also includes portions of Russell County right now. Right now, it just looks like a lot of heavy rain. However, up near Stanford, I was seeing a little bit of rotation. With the latest radar scan, the little couplet I was seeing is kind of falling apart. So that is some good news. But as we've already seen, it doesn't take much, even with the history of this storm system across Indiana earlier this afternoon. We can see brief spin-up tornadoes very quickly. As Justin was pointing out, we were tracking rotation without a tornado warning when that storm was crossing over Madison County. And now we've talked to Chris Hall of 606 Storm Chasing and other, we're getting some other reports from the Weather Service of a lot of damage in those areas. So obviously, we'll let the Weather Service determine exactly what took place there, but it is notable to point out that just because you're not under a tornado warning, you should still take these storms seriously because they have a history of tornadoes as early as earlier this afternoon in Indiana. And so we've had a tornado warning for portions of Estill and Lee County earlier this evening. So again, that is important to point out. I am going to go ahead here and change this over to the velocity just to give us a look. Again, this is portions of Lincoln, Casey County, even northern portions of Russell County, where we were seeing a little bit of that rotation. Again, it's pretty much dissipated, not really seeing much in that area right now, which is the good news, but we will continue to watch that in those areas. I do want to zoom things out though, and here on the tablet, it is a little tough, so I'm going to try and head back over to Owsley County, Lee County. And now it looks like this has even been expanded further to the south and east here, right along from Manchester, right along Hal Rogers Parkway, back towards Hyden, Jackson also included in this. Even areas like Hazard and Hindman need to be on the lookout over the next hour to 2 hours as these strong storms are beginning to push their way off to the south and east. These warnings go right now until 12:15 at this time. We're still seeing what's likely some hail around the Booneville area this evening. Very heavy rainfall. Justin was also talking about some flash flood warnings. We still have that one in northern Madison County for those areas. And now, while some of this is not severe, it's just, again, insult to injury. We're seeing heavier rainfall push over some of these areas once again that have already seen some damage, some severe weather and heavy rain, and so he's seeing it come back to back once again. Now, I do want to point out some of the areas that haven't had severe warnings this hour. West Liberty, portions of Morgan County, back up towards Sandy Hook, Moorhead, and portions of Rowan County. Now seeing some steadier, even some heavier rain there. I am curious just to look at, it looks like we're still seeing lightning across most of these areas once again too. And right now, the warnings we have, the warning of most concern is this one here that we've been tracking over the past several hours. It's a nasty storm. If you're at home, stay home if you can, and we'll continue to bring you pictures and updates as we get them. Again, I want to point out, if you can do so safely, send us those pictures. You can tag myself or Justin Logan at Peyton Hinkle on Twitter, at Justin Logan on Twitter or on Facebook. Both of us, send those in to us, or you can email them to us at news@fox56news.com. We'd love to try to get those on the air to tell the weather story this evening as we are tracking these conditions. Justin, it's just been an active night for sure across most of our viewing area, and it looks like it's going to continue over the next couple of hours. That severe thunderstorm watch remains in effect for southeastern Kentucky, and that goes until 4 a.m. So it looks like we're in this for the next couple of hours as we continue to track these severe storms across central and eastern Kentucky.
Yeah, I have got, when you get a chance, Lanny, I've got Apple TV connected. This is going to be video from Red House Road that Chris Hull just sent me. It's kind of dark, so it's going to be harder to see, but what we're showing you is Red House Road. He's driving up the road. Look at just the number of, obviously, tree leaves. They're off to the right there. It looked like there was a tree branch, but he said the road was just littered in spots. So this may be an area that's passable, but definitely when you kind of move up, I'm going to kind of pause it, and you can see on the right side of the screen here that looks like we still have some of those larger tree branches that are down. And this was in northern Madison County. There it is. We're about to come up on it. On the right side of your screen there, it looks like we have obviously that larger tree that was down. Okay, now bear with me for a second. Stay there. I know the screen's going to look weird. This was a picture that Chris Johnson sent me. It looks like this was from Michelle Bowman in Richmond. Look at the tree that is down on their car outside of their home. So it's still kind of hard to see, but you at home, looks like look at the lightning. The lightning was lighting this up clearly here. This was in Richmond, outside of their home, a tree that blew over on top of their vehicle. So that was just some of the damage that we have gotten. And there's obviously power outages. Bear with me as I'm kind of scrolling some. Look at this. This is a large tree next to a home about 1 mile north of Richmond. Melissa Knatzer sent this picture into Chris. Check this out. This is from her front porch that looks like it maybe just barely missed, at least on the roof of the home. But that was a very large storm, and said that she had ping pong sized hail as the storm was moving through Richmond. All right, I know a lot of you have been sending me tweets here, and I'm trying to go through some of these through picture, and that was the one of the large hail that we showed you earlier. So looks like that at the moment. And this one was from Aaron Hall, looks like Lexington alumni, man of war. Look at the lightning. This was from earlier, just recently. You could just see the torrential rain. Look just how vivid the lightning was. So a number of shots here. All right, and before I go back to radar real quick, let me go back to Chris Hall. Let me do this because this is the video from earlier. Okay, of at the Buc-ee's that we showed you. That was the picture. Let me get to the video because this was the storm that's done a lot of the damage that we were showing you. Look at that. Just sheets of rain just blowing across the screen here. You can see the lights, the parking lot lights there just whipping in those strong winds. Again, this was from Chris Hall earlier, and he's made his way and is currently up on Red House Road in Madison County. So again, big time storms earlier. This is when the storm was producing about 70 to about 80 mile per hour wind gusts. All right, I want to show you our weather camera, our home view down to the south. This is in Lexington, but I want to go back. I want to go to our Somerset view because we're looking northwest here at the storms that are coming in from Mount Vernon and are coming in from Liberty. All right, and these are severe. You can see what looks like on the leading edge here coming in. It's probably a shelf cloud. It's kind of hard to tell, but looks like there is a definition of that. That's that leading edge, that lowering right on the leading edge of usually strong or even severe thunderstorms. No rain yet, so let me go back a couple images here, and I want to show you the radar picture. And this is what's happening right now on the radar. Let me reset that for you, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. These are all the storms that we have going across the area now. Guys, there's light at the end of the tunnel here, okay? That's good news. But look at all the damage reports going back to Louisville. A lot of these were large hail reports. And then we had large hail reports and wind damage reports in our area. But I want to revisit, because we've got our friends down to the south, and it's been a while since we've talked about this storm. Again, Lee County, Owsley County, and it's crossing into western Breathitt. This is the strongest storm so far, but it looks like we got a bit of an outflow here. And that tells me that this part of the storm may be collapsing. And this leaves us the the leading edge here in Boonville right now, kind of left. Let's look back. The wind, yeah, definitely a lot weaker here. And you can see reflected by looking at the standard radar view, this part of the storm is getting weaker, because essentially the wind in this part of the storm kind of collapsed, came out, sent out this outflow. So there's going to be some gusty winds right along the Howell Rogers Parkway right now. But the strongest winds definitely are what's coming, still hanging on into western parts of Breathitt County, eastern parts of Lee County, east of Boonville, Owsley County, sorry, Lee County up in Beattyville. Still some strong winds here. Severe thunderstorm warning for Breathitt County till 12:15. So we got about 15 minutes left on that. And that also goes the same, looks like the expiration time for Owsley and also Lee or 12:15. Same story down here into Clay County. So overall, that portion of the storm still stronger into parts of Lee and Owsley, but Peyton, I think it may be weakening, because we're even starting to see way less lightning on that part where I was telling you that it partly, that the winds, that it collapsed here, but still a concentration of a lot of lightning where the strongest core is left near Boonville, still heavy rain, and that will be crossing over into Breathitt County. You're looking at the storms further west?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, but really quickly, before I talk in more detail about these storms around the Lake Cumberland region, our Vossi Procos and photographer Josh Short are out at a scene, it looks like, in Jessamine County with a very large tree down across the roadway. Looks like it's on power lines there. This is a live look, again, in Jessamine County. Large tree down across the roadway and on the power line. So it's no question that, again, these are causing damage across Kentucky this evening. That's why we're asking you to take this very seriously. Again, this is a live look near Asbury in Jessamine County. I'm told this is near Asbury University down there, a very large tree down on power lines and across the roadway. I also want to emphasize that if you do come up upon down power lines, down trees, always act as if they are active power lines, and do not go near them and stay away, especially until first responders. I'm sure our local fire departments and police and first responders are busy tonight as they're going to be responding to these areas. So we'll continue to track this and watch these pictures coming to us across the area. Again, that was in Jessamine County near Asbury University. All right, let's take a look at these warnings we have now around the Lake Cumberland region. Pretty much the entire lake area from Russell County, even now down in Wayne County. Monticello included in this, Russell Springs back into Pulaski County, Somerset. This is for this line of strong storms that is working its way. This warning goes until 12:30, so 12:30 a.m. early this morning. These are going to continue to push to the south and east. So again, if you're in Somerset, we actually have a camera there. In a second, I'm going to try to get that pulled up so we can aim it towards the storms and get a look at that. But we have a camera down there that will try to get a look as these storms are slowly but surely pushing to the south and east. So Again, this is areas, it continues for areas like Stanford and Liberty, but new warning now right along the Cumberland Parkway. If you're Russell Springs down in Russell County, back towards Wayne County, into Somerset and Pulaski County, also Clinton and Cumberland County. I know those are not technically in our viewing area, but want to go ahead and shout them out just in case we have any viewers in those areas as these storms are working to the south and east. So if you're along Cumberland Parkway or live near the Cumberland Parkway, make sure you are staying weather aware, have those alerts turned on. We're still tracking the strong storms back to portions of, let's see here, Clay County, Owsley County, Breathitt. This now includes also Leslie County. Are all included in this severe thunderstorm warning now. As Justin was pointing out, I want to move it just so you can see it a little bit better here. As Justin was pointing out, it looks like what we did see as a very significant hail core here just to the south of Boonville and Beattyville there is now collapsing a little bit. So that is some good news in that area. But we're going to continue to watch this as it pushes to the south and west. Hazard, Hindman, if you're along Hal Rogers Parkway, even Manchester, be on the lookout as these are working in your direction. I'm going to go ahead and actually put a time on, well, if it'll let me here, going to put a time on these storms and call out some of these communities. Well, we'll try eventually, but we're going to try to put a time on that so we can call out some of the smaller communities that may be impacted. But again, Manchester, Boonville, this is now pushing to the south of you, Jackson, Hazard, Hindman, even back towards Whitesburg as we're getting into far southeastern Kentucky. Need to be on the lookout for these storms over the next several minutes. So we'll continue to watch this. Looks like it's not giving me any towns popping up here. I'll have to probably walk over to the computer and do that in just a second. This continues for Rockcastle County, Mount Vernon. It's been a busy night if you're along I-75 from Richmond, Berea, back towards Mount Vernon, even down towards London. This is again pushing to the south and east here. And I want to zoom things out just a touch, and I'm going to step out of camera and try to go put a tracker here on some of these. You can see, though, pretty much this entire line of storms is now under the severe thunderstorm warning, stretching all the way back nearly to Bowling Green. So everyone, we were talking about just a couple hours ago that even if you were not seeing any thunderstorm activity just yet, that it was coming your way, and that is indeed the case that we're seeing now. Pretty much area-wide in southern and southeastern Kentucky are now under the risk of some of those severe storms. I'm going to go ahead and draw this here so we can put some towns up here and give you an update. If you're towards Jacks Creek, this is working your way around 1208. Canoe, 1209. The community of Beach, around 1212. Gaze Creek, 1214. So several of those communities. And let me get an updated one here for portions of Pulaski and Wayne County. Looks like we're tracking that now again to the south and east. I'm going to put it in motion just so you can see. We've been talking about over the past little bit too how slow moving these storms are. You can see that in motion here. They're not taking up a lot of real estate over the past little bit. They're moving very slowly, and so that is causing that heavy rainfall. We've seen a few of those flash flood warnings as well with this. I'm going to go ahead and put a time lapse on some of these warnings here down towards the Lake Cumberland region so we can call out some of these communities right along this line of storms here. From southern portions just to the south of Berea there and portions of Rockcastle County, even moving in the direction of Laurel County back towards Russell Springs. We have a lot of real estate that these severe storms are covering from Burnetta, 1208, Oil Center, 1208, Hansford, 1208, all working your way in the next couple of minutes. So if you're in those communities, be on the lookout for this. I'm going to actually put on the hail tracker really quickly just so we can see if these storms have a little bit of history of hail. Notice the ones back towards Somerset, Mount Vernon, there in Rockcastle County, same story, Russell, Liberty and Casey County there. And back towards Stanford doesn't look like a large history of hail, but this storm back towards Beattyville and Boonville, we've pretty much confirmed that there has been hail with that. Looks like there is still some indication of some hail within that storm. So we'll continue to watch that over the next several minutes. But the good news is, as expected, as these are still severe right now, but as expected, it looks like they are weakening as we move things to the south and east. So that is the good news. And Justin, once this cold front passes through the area, it looks like we're going to be in the clear, especially once you're heading back towards the Ohio River. Things are much calmer than they were just a few hours ago.
There's light at the end of the tunnel, but again, Vasi Prokos and Josh Short are heading through Jessamine County right there. That's on the left side of your screen. There is some damage in that area. They're going to be continuing to drive their live drive, looking for some of that damage that's been in there. We showed you earlier when Peyton was talking over it. There was a tree down over a power line. Also looking at the Richmond camera there that you could see, definitely still a little bit of lightning showing up and more rain coming back in. Now, the severe part is south of there now, but let's show you on the radar image. Actually, I've got it pulled up on our home view in Somerset because we're looking north and northwest of Somerset. And this is the storm that's coming out of, again, Stanford and Liberty to the north that's coming south. And this is severe. So we're watching this for a moment as we have a ton of lightning associated with this storm as well. Again, I was mentioning earlier the last time I showed it to you, it looks like we had a bit of a shelf cloud showing up. But just look at the amount of lighting. I'm about to just see that rain really begin to ramp up into the Somerset area. Let me show you back to the current radar image, and then we're going to kind of go through a few of our other home view cameras and then give you a quick little rundown of all the warnings that we got. Actually, before I do that, let's just go to all of our severe alerts here, okay? This kind of clears things up, gets the radar off of the map for a moment, and just does the watches and warnings. All right, so severe thunderstorm watch is in yellow. And that includes Lexington and back over to Woodford County, Anderson County. But to be perfectly honest, the storms are past here, at least a severe threat. So Fayette, Clark, Woodford, Anderson, even Mercer and Jessamine, really you can rest easy. Once this area of storms right through here pushes out, we're done. But look at all, these are all severe thunderstorm warnings in the orange here. Lee, Owsley, Breathitt, Perry, Leslie, Clay, Jackson, Laurel, Rockcastle, Pulaski, Lincoln, Casey, Russell, Adair, Wayne. Again, a lot of warnings all the way back into the Lake Cumberland area. So that's the warning map. And even here, we have flash flood warning that includes the northern part of Madison County. Those severe thunderstorm warnings generally are going to about 1245 to the south. So let me go back to the live radar, and this is going to show us what's happening. Remember earlier, just a moment ago actually, I was saying that once you get further north of Richmond here, that we are done with the severe threat. That includes Lexington, Versailles, even up here at Frankfort, Scott County, Georgetown, Harrison County, Cynthiana, Carlisle. Yep, you're still dealing with the thunderstorm, but really not much severe action with that. Most of the severe action is down to the south, working our way through still Breathitt and further southbound. Let me get my storm tracking back on here so I can zoom in and show you what these storms are doing into southeastern Kentucky. Still a big time light show. Let me turn the lightning counter back on. In this view right here, we have 962 lightning strikes, 970, 972. It keeps climbing. I mean, that is big time light show in southern Kentucky. Still here, likely looking at some gustier winds, severe thunderstorm warning I was mentioning for Breathitt County till 12:15, only 4 minutes left on that. They may actually allow that to expire. Same story with the storm that's going into Leslie County. That's also till 12:15. It's that same storm. Let me widen out the view. Lots of heavy rain, northern Clay County, north of Manchester, but still some gusty winds associated with that. Let me turn back on our storm reports and kind of head back north. You'll notice most of the storm reports here, even in a storm report now, a newer one that's coming out of, this one is Winston, Kentucky. Multiple trees are reported to have been down along Kentucky 52 from Winston west to the Madison County line. So Winston's a smaller community in Estill County, and it's, again, lots of trees that were reported there. Remember, that was the area that we were tracking that was showing us where we were getting that gusty winds that were coming out of Madison and into Estill County. Rest easy, Madison County, right now. At least we're not at severe level criteria winds here, but still some heavier rain, maybe some gusty winds from Berea up to the northeast. But the main show just starts south of here, our friends in Mount Vernon, down into northern Pulaski and down into southern parts of Casey County, south of Liberty, and going back into Russell Springs. Again, we got a bit of a spike here on the radar, but we'll get a clear up view in just a minute. I want to do a couple little quick features for you. Let's look here and see what the radar is showing as some of our biggest severe threats at the moment and where they are. Anywhere you see green is where our radar says, yeah, it is just mainly rain or heavy rain. Where you start seeing the purple is where the radar highlights that we at least have some hail. We could be looking at some small hail near Broadhead, near Crab Orchard, just south of there, really towards Science Hill. That's northern Pulaski County, right along US 27. Also, just east of there, still a little bit of small hail. Maybe some small hail. I'm talking small P, maybe. Back over into parts of southern Casey County. But not too large. Let's query this and see what our radar is saying. Lots of flashes of lightning, ½ inch, okay? So a quarter is an inch in diameter. So we're talking about smaller than quarters. So a P maybe to dime size, nickel size. All right, we work our way back to the west. Let me get off of the query tool and we'll head further back in the direction of where we actually still have some of our largest hail showing. Burning Springs, that's northern Clay County. Lee County is here at Beattyville. This is Owsley. So Owsley, Breathitt, northern Perry County at the tip there, kind of what we would like to say, kind of like the panhandle, so to speak, of Perry County, because here's Hazard. We could be looking at maybe some inch size hail, which is severe criteria. And that severe hail is heading toward Morris Fork at 12:20, so about 5 minutes. Crockett'sville, 12:27. Sebastian's Branch, 12:31. Here's updated times, because as new data comes in, our radar updates the times. So looking at Barwick, 12:30. Jump down to Roosevelt, 12:34. Lamont, 12:40. Nat 4 at 12:43. Again, hail now saying about 3/4 of an inch in diameter. So Peyton, we're at least seeing, even though we still got some warnings, looks like they allowed that one to expire because it's 12:15. And it kind of makes sense, even though that we're still seeing at least 3/4 of an inch diameter hail possible. Looks like that the wind is getting a bit weaker there, but we still have some warnings to the west for our friends going through. Again, we just named them all out. But I'm telling you, the good news is we're starting to see a weakening trend as expected as the night wore on. We said that would likely be the case. Good news here.
Yeah, that is the good news. And as the cold front continues to push through too, areas back towards Lexington and some of the areas that have been hit hardest, back towards Frankfort and back down I-64 towards Louisville, are now beginning to be in the clear as the cold front pushes through, which is the good news. And that's why some of those areas, the severe thunderstorm watch has now been allowed to expire. It continues for southeastern Kentucky, though. The other big story is the power outages. We've been talking about that this evening. 16,000 customers without power out in Madison County, 12,000 in Jessamine, 2,500 in Fayette County, 1,000 once you just go farther south and east there. But again, the main counties that seem to be affected that we've been talking about over the past several hours is Jessamine and Madison. We're starting to see some of those outages expand to the farther south and east as the storms continue to push that direction. So Estill County, 800 customers, 700 customers near Beattyville, 900 around Boonville. So a lot of people without power this evening, which is, again, unfortunate. That's why if you are able, continue to have those alerts available on your cell phone, especially if you are without power. All right, you can see here on the radar, they've allowed this warning here to expire. We still have the severe thunderstorm warning that continues for portions of Laurel County back towards Pulaski, Wayne County, and Russell County as this is working its way to the south and east. So good news is, though, again, some of this is expiring. We are seeing improvements. Once you're back up towards Lexington, Nicholasville, and points north and west, it's calming down. The cold front's pushing through, and you are now in the all clear. So really, the areas we're continuing to highlight here are southeastern Kentucky, working towards London, Corbin, Williamsburg. Even though you're not in the warning at this point, it is pushing off to the south and east. But again, we're continuing to see that trend of weakening as the time goes on. Let's take a look at one of our traffic cameras. This is I-75 near Mount Vernon down there in Rockcastle County. You can see very heavy rain. The good news is not a lot of people on the roadways where it's late at night. If you can, stay at home. Looks like maybe some ponding on portions of the interstates that we've been seeing in some of our traffic cameras. But again, just very heavy rainfall, gusty winds, the threat for hail. We're continuing to see that, especially in those areas with the severe thunderstorm warning. Here's our home view overlooking Somerset, or I should say lack thereof looking over Somerset, because it's pretty much just blurry at this point. Frequent lightning continues. We have, it looks like lots of raindrops on the camera here, and this is atop the Lake Cumberland Regional Hospital. And you can see the lights below, but visibility is very low. And this is one of the areas under that severe thunderstorm warning down in Pulaski County. We're continuing to see that frequent lightning once again, as we've been seeing all evening. We're going to continue to look at those storm reports and things. Justin, any updates on that? Are we getting any new storm reports in?
Yeah, I am going to try to effort some more pictures here to show you on Apple TV. This is from Chris Hall, 606 storm chaser, of a damage of a window that was shattered. This is so on Facebook, but he shared this. Look, you can see just the window shattered and just blown in, and obviously the blind just kind of torn apart there. That was from Chris Hall over on Facebook. Let me go back over to Twitter, and this was from a viewer. This was from Andrian Moberly. This was in Richmond. I'm going to zoom in. This is the Union City area on Dunbar Lane in Richmond. So look at the number of trees that are down on top of all of those power lines. So the trees just kind of snapped. A lot of damage, obviously, from those trees, and leading to a number of those power outages that Peyton was just showing you there. Sorry, I'm kind of doing this on the fly. And this was Chris just a moment ago, said that first responders are clearly on the scene here in Madison County, the northern part of the area up toward Red House Road, and trying to do their best out here to get some of this debris off the road, these tree limbs. So again, lots of damage there. Let's go back to the radar, and I'm going to do kind of a quick little tour here again of some of the storms that are still crossing through. The warnings for Breathitt, Lee, Owsley, Clay, even Perry County have expired. The warnings that we have left are for Jackson, Rockcastle, Pulaski, Laurel County, back down into looks like Casey and Lincoln have been allowed to expire. So only going again for Russell County, also into Wayne. So a lot of warnings, obviously, till 12:30. A lot of these are till 12:30, and it's for this line here. Lots of lightning still. But as we zoom in, it shows that our lightning count's going down to 337 strikes, which is less than it was just a minute ago. Let me show you a product that we have here. We call this Future Scan, all right? So it's an exclusive product to Barron. Let me kind of clear off the severe thunderstorm warning. We're going to put this into motion, and it takes the current radar out for an hour. So at 1:21, the storms in Somerset right now should be down here into Corbin and approaching Williamsburg and Whitley City. And at that point, the storms that are much further into eastern Kentucky, the ones that were weakening, should be out of our viewing area. Because by the time we get to Bell, Harlan, Letcher, and Pike County, that's out of our viewing area. So we'd only have a few more that are still kind of snaking across southern parts of the area. You're getting down closer to Laurel Lake, get your way a little bit further along, right along I-75. So that's a future radar product and what it's expected to do within the next hour. This is where we are right now and what the storms are looking like, and look at all the lightning. But if there's one thing you see that you notice, look at all the flashes of lightning up here. Let me get to the current time. Watch how it really drops off. Lightning is an indicator of the storms getting weaker. Watch the count go from 8:50 about an hour ago to 3:25. We've cut the lightning strikes in half. So storms, the trend is for these to keep getting weaker as they push south, and I wouldn't be shocked if after this next round of warnings cancels, if we may actually see no more severe thunderstorm warnings. Maybe an occasional one. We'll see what they decide to do, because we're getting down here into where the radars, what we like to call almost no man's land, because we're in what we call the blind spot of the Jackson and the Louisville radar down here in the Lake Cumberland region. For sure, still likely some gusty winds, 50, 60 miles an hour on the front edge of that, from Russell Springs to Burning Springs off to the east over in Clay County. But also as we get into Science Hill and approaching the Somerset area, still some heavier rain. But I'm overall seeing the trend that these are obviously continuing to weaken, which is great news. Let's look at couple other products. It's not what I want to look at. Let's go back to our standard radar view and let's look at this velocity. So that's the wind. We're looking, it's kind of like we look in the hidden picture within the thunderstorm at the winds. All right, so we got some brighter shades of green still going through Pulaski County, but the overall picture on this velocity product just really looks super noisy, even though when you go back to the radar view, there's not even really anything going on here. So the winds of concern would be right where we've got the heavier rain. So follow that and let's track it back right through here, right along basically Cumberland Parkway, through Somerset, through parts of, again, northern parts of Laurel County. Not a whole lot there. Peyton, things are continuing to weaken out, which, I mean, hey, we like to see that. Nobody wants these storms going all night. We want you guys to be able to rest easy. We all want to rest easy. We want to get this damaging threat out. Want to widen out the view, do a quick recap. Still flash flood warning here. Let me stop the movement and be able to click on this. Aerial flood advisory. There was a flood warning in Madison County. Area flood advisory for Anderson County till 1:30. So that would be some small streams and creeks that may be bank full. That even went down into parts of Jessamine County. I was getting some reports earlier of even some flooding there, some small streams and creeks. That's till 1:30. We have flash flood warning for Madison County till 2:30. So yeah, that's 2 hours left on that. Even though now, thankfully, the heavier rain is moving out of that portion of the county, which is good news, we still have a warning that's going, because it's going to take a while for the streams and creeks to recede. All right, let me go deep into my tool chest here. And let's see, I don't think, Peyton, I have on the list in here power outages.
Yeah, I actually have them pulled up right now. So if they want to take, if they could take links 1 behind you.
Yeah.
Looks like, or I can just walk over there, give you a breather for a second. But yeah, we have the power outages up right here. 16,000 people or customers without power in Madison County, 12,000 in Jessamine County, 2,500 up in Fayette County. And again, as we continue to see this push off to the south and east, we're continuing to see power outages ramp up across the area. It's very definitive here on the map where the strongest winds have been with this system. You can even see the heart from Nicholasville back towards Richmond and these areas. That's where we're seeing a lot of this damage this evening. But again, it's very apparent here where this line of storms really did a good amount of damage, took out power lines and trees down. We're continuing to see those updates. I'm going to step off here really quickly Just to give you an update on some more of these power outages here. Estill County, again, 800. It looks like down into Lee County, around 700. Owsley County, around 1,000 customers without power. Jackson County, 700. 200 customers down in Mount Vernon. Those are those areas where they are seeing, it looks like, the severe thunderstorm warnings right now. But as Justin was pointing out, those are continuing to weaken as time goes on. But I do want to kind of put this in motion for you. Go back and take a look at radar here so you can see a wider view. They have allowed this severe thunderstorm warning to expire here that we were talking about much earlier. We still have the one that's around the Lake Cumberland region. As Justin was mentioning, it's hard to get a really good read on these storms just because they are kind of in that area where both the radar site in Jackson and Louisville has trouble kind of picking that up. But they are still under severe thunderstorm warnings right now. Heavy rain pushing towards Somerset over Russell Springs. If you're around Lake Cumberland at all right now, very heavy rain across the lake this evening. Now pushing towards Monticello and portions of Wayne County. This is going to continue overnight tonight. Now, I do want to point out, even though this storm has weakened, that is now across Hal Rogers Parkway, pushing in towards Hazard, portions of Perry County there. You can see it still has very heavy rainfall with it, but the good news is it is weakening. We have light to moderate rainfall up to the north, back towards Campton, Stanton, Jackson, portions of Morgan County. Even once you get off farther to the east, Paintsville, Johnson County, up in Lawrence County, back towards Louisa, light rain as this is beginning to work its way out of here. So the main threat remains, again, for our far south and eastern communities and counties this evening. This is continuing to push off to the south and east. We continue to have that flash flood warning for northern portions of Madison County there. And again, that is where we've seen a lot of that damage this evening so far. So we'll continue to watch this. Again, the overall trend is things are weakening, which is the good news. I do want to take you outside from our home view atop the Lake Cumberland Regional Hospital here. Not much to see except the flashes of lightning. You can see the raindrops on the lens, indicative of those very heavy rain showers and thunderstorms that are pushing through this evening. So that's going to continue there. And even if we go back to radar, you can see that as it's beginning to work into Pulaski County, Somerset about to be under some of that very heavy rainfall. If you're along Cumberland Parkway here, very heavy rain pretty much all along the parkway from Russell Springs back towards Somerset and even out towards London. Along I-75 as well, just to the south of Berea, portions of Rockcastle County, and now working its way into portions of Laurel County are also seeing those very heavy bands of rain beginning to work their way in. Likely some gusty winds and maybe even some small hail with that as well. So we'll continue to watch this over the next little bit. If we go back up to the north, though, looks like a heavier shower developing over portions of Jessamine County. It's not severe, but again, things are calming down. Once you head back to the metro area, really right along the Bluegrass Parkway and back towards I-64. Once you're north and east of these areas, things are beginning to calm down, and really the severe threat is pretty much over for you as the cold front begins to work its way. I'm actually going to try to pull up the satellite and radar here just so we can get a better view of things really quickly, just to show you exactly kind of where the cold front is and how that's looking over the next little bit. So we'll put that in motion. You can see that here. Cold front pretty much working through the heart of the state at this point. All those showers and storms really fired up along this evening. They're dealing with severe weather pretty much across much of the Midwest and the deep south tonight. So it's been a very active weather night across the eastern half of the country, and that's going to continue as we head into the day tomorrow as well, as this area of low pressure continues to work its way off to the south and east. Once this pushes out of here, though, once the cold front clears you, you're pretty much in the clear. Things are looking much better for communities. Again, pretty much the Ohio River Valley at this point, from Cincinnati back towards Louisville. Even I would say places like Frankfort, Woodford County, Anderson County, and even really here once you get towards the metro, things are looking much better and we're seeing a lot of improvements, which is the good news. So Justin, are we have any updates on damage reports, anything you are seeing on social media right now?
Looks like that there was a damage report. Hold on here. It was from the Weather Service that was in, I believe it was Lincoln County.
hold on, bear with me for a second. We get so many of these that come in on the standard tweet from the National Weather Service. So, Stanford, Lincoln County Train Spotter reports thunderstorm wind damage, tree limbs, and other debris across US 27 near Dix River Golf Course. So, again, Lincoln County's here, and it was from these storms that are now south. So that's why they've continued the warning. Obviously, trees are down with that storm. Now, we showed some of these pictures a little bit earlier. I did, but I kind of want to go back and just show a few of these. Again, I'm back on Apple TV. I think I'm still connected here. This was in Richmond earlier. And do we have that video that if we could maybe re-rack the video in London? Not London, I apologize. I've been on for, we've been out so long. In Richmond, from the Richmond Register, that showed, looked like a sign that was down. If we could like maybe re-rack that in a second, because we want to go back and show. This was one of the hardest hit areas we've seen so far. We talked about Wilmore earlier. We talked about Jessamine County earlier. We talked about trees that were down in Woodford County earlier. And then we've been talking a lot about, and there's the video, storm damage at EKU, fence damage in front of Roy Kidd Stadium. So you're looking right there, obviously on campus or in front of campus. Right there in town, looks like a guy there trying to help pick up the fence there that's actually blown into the road. So, I mean, we were talking, I mean, you got to have some really strong winds that's going to come through that's going to knock that down. And remember, back on the radar earlier today, we were looking at the storm as it was coming into northern Madison County, and that's where even the strongest winds were up toward Red House Road. I want to give you the quick rundown of everything. All right, let me clear some things up. Got a lot on. It looks like we're getting kind of an uptick in lightning again because, look, we're back up at 795. But that is taking into account these storms in western Kentucky, okay? It's all in this whole view, 700, 800 now in 2 strikes from Bowling Green to Glasgow. Now, that's not coming here. That part of the storm is going to push south and work its way into, let's say, down toward the Franklin-Simpson area, Allen County, going down into Clinton County. So that'll miss us, Cumberland County. But we're watching this part that goes from Russell, Wayne, and Somerset and Pulaski County, and that keeps going south. So that part of the line is much weaker in terms of lightning. No, still some gusty winds, but if I zoom in, watch how the lightning count once we take those storms out in western Kentucky. Look, it drops off to about 200. So the strongest storms now in terms of lightning for sure, and lightning is often an indicator of the strength of a storm. Sometimes you'll get some wind and stuff without lightning, but when you go from just about an hour and a half ago at 800 strikes in this view to 210, that's a big drop in lightning. Still some heavy rain and could still be looking at some wind damage. They extended that warning from Wayne, McCreary, Whitley, over into parts of Knox County. That warning, let me give you the time there, until 1:15. It includes Laurel County. Also back into parts of Pulaski County here. So this would really be the last hurrah, okay? We're getting that storm that produced wind damage up near Dix Creek in Lincoln County here is now into Science Hill down to Somerset. Working its way, let's zoom in, let's give you some of these smaller areas. All right, this is not just heavy rain. This likely has potential damaging wind gusts along with it. Here's London, here's Livingston. So that's back up into Rockcastle County. We go east, there's Science Hill, there's Ferguson. So next in line is going to be Burnside. We go along the Cumberland Parkway, we head south. We're looking in Wayne County now. Monticello on your doorstep, okay? Let me look at the wind here. This is going to be a hard zone to see within the wind, but we're going to look because things... All right, so the radar beam is in Jackson, Kentucky, so Breathitt County, and we're looking all the way down to Monticello. So the curvature of the Earth, the closer you are to the radar beam is, so this is the Earth, and say the radar beam's just barely off the ground. But when you get the curvature of the Earth and the radar beam gets further away, it's way 4,000-5,000 feet off the ground. So it becomes harder for us to see kind of like a bird's eye view of how strong the winds are here. But seeing what these storms have done in terms of some damage further north, That's likely one reason why the National Weather Service has kept this going. Peyton, you know what else we have over here that we haven't shown? We have the Kentucky Mesonet Network wind gusts.
Yeah, let's go ahead and while you get that pulled up, we'll check that out. But first, I want to kind of change gears here and show you kind of just, again, a recap. Justin's been talking about they just extended this severe thunderstorm warning for our far southeastern counties, Corbin, London, Williamsburg, portions of Whitley County, back towards Wayne County as well. That continues. And again, these are pushing to the south and east. Damaging winds are still possible. Heavy rain, even some small hail is possible within these severe thunderstorms. Once you head back up to the north and east here around Mountain Parkway from Stanton back towards Campton, same story, out towards portions of Morgan County, Breathitt County, even back up into portions of Lawrence County, Johnson County, and into Floyd County. Light to moderate rain at this point. So you guys are not dealing with the severe storms and haven't really had to deal with the severe storms this evening, which is the good news. But we're continuing to watch these ones that are down around the Lake Cumberland region and pushing into the more mountainous terrain this evening in far southeastern Kentucky. So we're almost clear throughout our viewing area. We're going to continue to watch these. Storms are moving fairly slowly, but once these push out of the viewing area, we will be able to sound the all clear. So we're going to continue to watch that over the next little bit throughout this evening. I do want to show you the wide view once again. Here's this area of low pressure spinning up near the Great Lakes. Here's the cold front. These storms are firing right along the cold front. It's continuing to push again to the south and east. But once you get behind the cold front, so places like the metro area around Lexington, and then once you head back towards the Ohio River, pretty much you're in the all clear, which is the good news. So we'll continue to watch that this evening. But I do want to put this into motion and kind of time things out for you over the next little bit. This is our Futurecast, one of the latest models we have pulled up here. It's still doing a fairly good job. It's still trying to hold this line of storms fairly consistently. I'm not necessarily buying some of these supercells we're seeing on this model. However, I do think we still have the threat for heavy rain, some damaging winds, maybe some small hail as this continues to push to the south and east. It's not looking as impressive for our northeastern communities. Notice, though, once we get towards the morning rush around 5 a.m., not quite the morning rush, but once we get to our early morning hours, this is really beginning to push out. We're left with some light rain showers on the back side of this for far eastern Kentucky, but things are improving in the next couple of hours pretty much for all of us across the state. So that is the good news. That'll get on out of here, and tomorrow we start to dry things out and things look much better heading into the start of the work week. So we just have this evening to get through first, and then once we head into the later parts of your Monday and into Tuesday, things are looking much better. So just to kind of recap some things for you real quick, tonight we're still dealing with those strong storms. Temperatures aren't going to fall too much tonight, just into the mid-60s, and again, we're continuing to see those push through parts of the area. Tomorrow, things look much better, highs right around 80 degrees. We'll still have the chance for a few showers or storms lingering, especially in the early morning hours, but things are improving as the day goes on. Justin?
Yeah, here are those wind gusts courtesy of the Mesonet network. So this is a network of weather stations across the region, and these, the one that we've got near Monticello right now, 56-mile-per-hour gust there, which is borderline severe. It's 58 mile per hour, so that's why a good reason, a good indication that they've kept that warning going. Now, looking at 21-mile-per-hour gusts in Somerset, but this sensor is actually in the northern part of the county. So that tells me here that with that storm that's going through Pulaski County, that it's not nearly as strong as what's further south. Let me go back to the radar view. Now, keep that in mind. 21-mile-per-hour gusts in northern Pulaski, and then 56 in Monticello. So correlate that to where the storms are located. These are starting to become even more ragged in these last couple of scans, but still some gusty winds here, severe storms possible. Somerset back down into Monticello and heading east over toward the London area. Unfortunately, our home view camera in London is actually frozen. It may be an indication of some of the wind or whatnot, what have you, but it is from a day picture, so it's from earlier. But our camera, our home view in Somerset was definitely showing a wall of water coming in. I'm going to pull that up here too momentarily, and this is going to show you what's happening right now. Sorry about that. I keep walking off because I keep wanting to add a few things in, and this will just kind of give us a quick little rundown. I'll do a quick little show. This is what's happening there right now. It'll load up. Look at that, just wall of water. A lot of lightning showing up here in Somerset. Give it a second, it'll probably load. Hopefully they didn't lose power. They may have lost power, but it is at the hospital here. Hopefully we didn't lose connection with our shot. There it is. There's another flash of lightning. For a moment, we weren't seeing anything. It didn't even look like it was raining, but it's just pouring the rain, okay? Kind of sheets of it coming down, flashes of lightning. Still could be some gustier winds. Hey, can you pan that? I want to pan down to like the road. Let's look at US 27 in front of the hospital. So we're looking out in the front of the hospital down the main road there. Peyton's going to pull that up, so we're going to stay on the shot here before I go back to radar. All right, so now, all right, let's tilt down some. It's probably obviously a little bit slower. Okay, now we're looking kind of west. All right, now we're looking. Keep going back around just a little bit. This is going to take us in front of the all right, so here we go. We're getting toward the front of the hospital. This is 27, US 27 in front of the Lake Cumberland Regional Hospital. It is just pouring out there. It's just raining to beat the band. You can see it just whipping. You could even see the trees too in flashes of lightning, but there's not as much lightning as there was earlier, and that is likely an indication, again, storms are just gradually going down on a weakening trend. But if you live down here in Somerset, you could see, yes, heavy rain, frequent flashes of lightning, and you may even see, again, some potential wind damage. Let's hope not. All right, but that is at least a possibility. Now, let me go back to the radar view. I know I keep flipping between a lot of different sources here, but I want to show you what we have happening at the big picture. We've got another little thunderstorm that's kind of popped back up here through Jessamine County and going through southern parts of Fayette. That is not severe, but again, it's one little additional band of rain that went through Nicholasville, and it's moving southeast, but guess where it's moving? It's moving toward an area that got hit pretty hard for sure by some strong winds in Richmond and points off to the north toward Waco, toward Red House Road areas that definitely don't need any more wind or rain for that matter. But north of there, Lexington and Winchester, we're in the all clear, okay? We're all clear for the rest of the night further north from any severe threat. So if you want to go to bed, you can go to bed, all right, and safely sleep through Paris, Georgetown, Cynthiana, Carlisle, Flemingsburg, Moorhead. You can go to sleep and rest easy tonight. Lawrenceburg, same story. Harrodsburg and Danville, same story for you too. Severe threat is over. We're only looking at that severe threat on the leading edge here of these storms, and this is still for London and Somerset and Monticello. Next in line is going to be Whitley City and Williamsburg and down the line. Look here, still some gustier winds into Manchester, right along the Hal Rogers Parkway, into the Hazard area, even over toward Hyden. So we're looking into Leslie County. Just a number of warnings here, Peyton, that just keep continuing because this is just really kind of a squall line. And back to the west, it's been kind of kinking out a bit more back over toward Bowling Green and Glasgow. So that area definitely could be looking at an uptick in winds. But if you live in Monticello, stay indoors or stay hunkered down until those strongest winds get out. Whitley City and Williamsburg, you got a little ways to go. I'm going to step off and look at the forward movement of those, and we'll do a little track for them. But you've got an update on still ever rising, it looks like, power outages.
Yeah, those power outages continuing to rise across, especially central Kentucky. Still around 12,000 customers without power in Madison and in Jessamine County. So those are definitely the hardest hit areas this evening. But again, now look back towards the Lake Cumberland region, 3,000 customers without power in Russell County. And I'm sure we'll continue to get an update as these storms continue to push off to the south and east. Looks like, let's see here, 1,000 customers, 200 customers now all the way out in Hazard and Perry County there. Back in Lexington, looks like we may be improving just a touch, 1,500 customers without power in Lexington. So Power outages are still definitely a concern this evening, and we're going to continue to watch that as these storms continue to push through. The good news, as Justin has kind of been indicating, is these storms pushing through our southeastern communities are not nearly as strong as some of the storms were that moved through portions of Jessamine back towards Madison County. However, you still need to take them seriously because they do still have some threats for damaging winds, heavy rainfall. And anytime we see storms like these, you can get ponding on the roadways, we can have trees down, power lines down, especially at nighttime. It's just not the best scenario. So the good news is most people are at home for the evening, but even as you're heading out the door tomorrow morning, you'll want to be on the lookout, especially in these harder hit areas. You'll definitely want to be on the lookout for downed trees, tree limbs, power lines, things like that. Just take it slow, take it easy, take it safe as you head out to work first thing tomorrow morning. But again, power outages continue to expand, especially into eastern Kentucky as these storms are working in that direction. The good news is it looks like here in the metro we may be improving slightly. We haven't seen a big decrease in numbers, but we are seeing subtle improvements across some of these areas. So we'll continue to watch this, but it's very apparent where the core of some of these stronger storms were. You can see that outlined by the power outage maps. We're continuing to get pictures, videos, and reports in from others around the area as well. Multiple downed trees, down power lines across roadways. I've seen pictures on Twitter of trees on homes. I saw one picture on Twitter. It looked like some hail may have actually broken out a window on a home. So we're starting to see those reports, and we'll continue to update you with those as the night goes on. And first thing tomorrow morning for the Fox 56 Morning News, which starts at 5 a.m. So they'll have the latest on those storm reports as well. I'm actually going to step out of the frame really quickly and just saw some impressive, looks like lightning on our tower cam, even here in Lexington, probably from that weaker storm that we are seeing just to the south in portions of Jessamine County. I actually want to try to pull up this camera just to give you a view, and so you can see kind of what we're seeing. Give me 1 second. There we go. This is in Somerset. They're still dealing with the very heavy rainfall there. You can see the good news is not a lot of people are out. Looks like power is still on there in Pulaski County, so that is the good news. But here is our tower cam from atop our studios, and this isn't overlooking downtown Lexington. We've actually kind of turned it, looking more in a southward direction towards Nicholasville and back towards portions of Madison County. Every few minutes you'll see, or a few seconds I should say, you'll see some flashes of lightning on this camera too. I will say the good news is here at home, if you live, there's one right there. Here at home, if you live in the metro area, the good news is things are improving. We do have that one storm that Justin was showing us just moments ago, but things overall are improving, especially across the metro area. Now we're still just continuing to watch that threat in portions of southeastern Kentucky. So I'm going to go ahead and switch things over here back to the radar just to kind of give you a tour really quick of what's happening here. Let me go ahead and get it into place, get our warnings turned on just so you can see exactly what's going on. We're continuing to track that for portions of Wayne, Pulaski County, back towards Corbin, Whitley County, Laurel County, pretty much along the Hal Rogers Parkway, back towards the Lake Cumberland area. Again, we've been highlighting this over the past little bit, continuing to work off to the south and east. We've been on air for a while, if you've been tuned in, and you notice these storms are moving very slowly. So very heavy rain with some of this ponding on the roadways, maybe even some minor flash flooding issues. We do have that flash flood warning back up in Madison County, and it looks like we have a few of those flash flood warnings back off in western Kentucky as well. So kind of a squall line, or a line of severe storms here continuing to develop. You can see even back along the Cumberland Parkway back towards Bowling Green, they all have these severe thunderstorm warnings on them as well. Hail is not as impressive with these as it was with the earlier storms. The main threats we're seeing with these are the threat for damaging winds, heavy rainfall, and maybe some small hail. But we're not seeing that larger hail with these that we were seeing across portions of the metro, working in through portions of Jessamine and Madison County. So that is some good news. However, you do need to continue to take these seriously as they are working off to the south and east. Here soon, we're going to have the all clear for pretty much our viewing area, but we're going to continue to stay with this as they continue to push off to the south and east over the next little bit. And it looks like, again, We have those severe warnings back into western Kentucky as well. Things are calming down, though, as you head back up to the north. If you're northeastern Kentucky, even Jackson northward, portions of Magoffin, Morgan County, Salyersville, West Liberty, back towards Louisa, Johnson County, Paintsville areas, just some steadier rainfall, but nothing is severe for you. So that is the good news there as well, Justin.
Yeah, I have a storm track on the leading edge of this. I took out some of the really small communities and kind of giving you some of the, at least, county seats with this squall line here as it's moving southeast here. So Whitley City, about 104, okay, because this part of the storm, it's not actually moving south. This whole line is moving east, southeast. So Whitley City about 104, Barberville at 116, Winfield, all right, that's outside of us, that's in Tennessee. Williamsburg is 122. Looks like, let's see, obviously Jellicoe's outside of our viewing area. That's just right there on the Kentucky-Tennessee state line. We're looking at, that's at 140, but over toward Harlan, Kentucky at 144. So within less than an hour, but these warnings may actually expire. But I saw another weather station that's down here across Wayne County that was reporting a gust within the last 10 minutes of 59 miles an hour. Severe thunderstorm wind gusts right there, okay? So that's why that they've kept all these warnings going for quite a while here. So now we've been on pretty continuously for you, but we are here for you and to obviously keep you safe as we go throughout this evening and the overnight. But the good news is that we are finally starting to see at least a tick down in intensity. So let's clear some things off and kind of reset. Few severe thunderstorm warnings. Only ones are really down here across, basically from the Hal Rogers Parkway and Point South, pretty much. North of there, it is just some scattering of rain, and it's also there getting much weaker. We go, as Peyton was mentioning, further into eastern Kentucky, and things definitely start to improve. It's definitely just more rain as you get north of Jackson. But Manchester, some gustier winds here. You get over to Hazard, not severe, at least according to no warnings issued. But for Clay County, back down here, we're looking back into Corbin. Here's London. Frequent flashes of lightning, heavier rain that goes back here as we work our way, let's say into, we're looking northern parts of McCreary County, southern Pulaski. We can also look at, it's going to be darker and it's going to be obviously nighttime here, but we have our Cumberland Falls camera may be able to see because we're getting in that vicinity for those storms to be making it down into that area. Let me see here in my show if I have Cumberland Falls camera loaded up in, but you'll notice overall the big picture is that these storms keep working southbound and will continue here as we go throughout, well, really the next couple of hours. And once really the severe threat ends, which is going to be sooner rather than later, which is good news because we have seen a weakening trend in these storms, we'll be able to obviously go back to programming, and you're going to be able to obviously rest easier as we go through the night. Let's look if we're able to see anything here. It's obviously darker, but look at the rain. We have our night vision that's on, so it's obviously harder to see. You could make out falls in here, but boy, it's raining to beat the band down there. I'm sure the water is going to be up fairly high here soon. You could see just kind of sheets of rain that are continuing to roll in from the north, and you see flashes of lightning. So numerous areas that are obviously still dealing with some heavier rain. And again, gusty winds is definitely still one of our main concerns. Let me go back, and I want to show you real quick. Okay, he is outside. Let me see if we can... Let's look at the latest wind gusts here. These updated about every 5 minutes. So the wind gusts, according to the Kentucky Mesonet, looks like we had that gust at Monticello was 56 not long ago. It's now down to 29 miles per hour. So that's definitely weakening. Barberville, the storms aren't there yet, but the Mesonet sensor in northern parts of Pulaski County winds only at 12 miles an hour. So we're starting to see that these storms are ticking down in a bit of intensity overall, which is something we obviously like to see. Peyton, you have some more information? I'm going to gather some storm info from
our newsroom.
Yeah, for sure. So we're continuing again just to watch these storms as they're continuing to push off to the south and east. Good news is if you're back towards the metro area, things are looking much better. We are still tracking that flash flood warning in northern portions of Madison County. I do want to go ahead and take a closer inspection on that because this is an area that was hit hard earlier, and now they are seeing a heavier thunderstorm and heavier rain working through that area right now as well. So again, this is just to the north of Richmond, right on the county line, right along, just to the south, I should say, of the Kentucky River there. So heads up there because we do continue to have that flash flood warning that goes until 2:30 a.m. Severe thunderstorm warnings. Let's just go ahead and do a recap just to show you what we're tracking here. Wayne County, this continues for you. Same story up into Somerset, southern and southeastern portions of Pulaski County, back towards London as well, in Laurel County, and then right along the Hal Rogers Parkway, or just to the south of it rather, for the most part. Same story, Whitley County over into Knox County as well. This severe thunderstorm warning goes for you, Clay County, and also portions of Leslie County at this time. Right now, Hazard in Perry County is not under a warning, but you are seeing some of that heavier rainfall across the area there. I do want to quickly go back and take a look at some of these power outages we are seeing because now we're starting to see some pop up across Somerset. I'm going to go ahead and pull these up really quickly for you. 100 customers in Pulaski County, 100 customers in Wayne County, 3,000 customers when you get up into Russell County. The spots with the highest power outages at this time continue to be Jessamine and Madison counties, both with 12,000 customers without power. Once you head up along I-75, 200 there in Rockcastle County. And again, we're just seeing several areas with power outages. I'm going to try to click on all of these in our viewing area. Back towards Boyle County, 1,500 customers. So we're tracking several of those as the evening continues to go on. So Justin.
Yeah, and speaking of the power outages there, Peyton, we actually have on the phone Joe Arnold with Kentucky Electric Cooperative. Joe, thanks for joining us here at almost 1 o'clock in the morning. All right, what is the latest that you hear? We were just giving you a kind of quick rundown of all the outages that we have across the region. You there, Joe? Okay, so we'll be on standby. We're getting Joe in just a second. We have him on the phone. We're having some brief technical issues. As soon as we get him there, he's going to give us a quick rundown of the amount of outages, obviously, they're seeing and what the crews are doing across our region. But if you look here at the map that I've drawn on, the biggest ones that stand out to you are where the yellow shaded counties are, because that's where you're getting up 10,000 plus. And that's going to be Madison and Jessamine, and look back over into Jefferson County. So greater Louisville area, you're looking at some big time power outages over there. But we're starting to see them, again, trickle south as those storms keep moving down to the south. We look in Beattyville, 900. So we're looking at Lee County, over 1,000 in Booneville, so that we're talking Owsley County in general, so not just in Booneville respectively. 700 customers in Jackson County, and about 700 to 800 out in parts of Rockcastle and also into Garrett. But when you get into Boyle County and Lincoln, up into Mercer and Anderson and Woodford and Fayette, you're between 1,000 to 2,000 customers, all right? But then it just really steps up into Jessamine and into Madison County, and those two areas are 12,000 customers or more. So that's not people, that's obviously individual customers. So those numbers are going to continue to rise as we go throughout the evening.
Yeah, and Justin, as you were talking about as well, statewide, I want to point out we have 132,074 customers without power. So it obviously includes some fairly large metro areas like Jefferson County, where 16,000 customers are without power. Same story back towards Fayette County. So we'll continue to watch this. There is a lot of power outages across western Kentucky as well. If we take a look at the live radar, though, things are continuing to push to the south this evening. They're moving slowly but surely, as we've been tracking over the past several hours. They're beginning to work their way out from Corbin back towards London, just to the south of the Hal Rogers Parkway. some of these steadier bands of heavier rain are now working their way outside of the polygon there that is the severe thunderstorm warning. So that is some good news because they're not, it looks like as of yet, they're not expanding that severe thunderstorm warning. Once you head back towards Hazard, this is all working into portions of Harlan County, back towards Whitesburg, and eventually southern portions, looks like of Pike County as well. Steady showers, but not severe. Once you head back into northeastern portions or eastern portions of Kentucky there, Magoffin, Morgan County, light but steady at times, especially along the Mountain Parkway there as well. So that is the good news, that these storms are continuing to weaken as expected as they push to the south and east. We're continuing to see some severe weather again out in western Kentucky as well. We have a few of these flash flood warnings as well. The one I want to point out is up in Madison County because this flash flood warning has been with us for quite some time, but we're continuing to see very heavy rainfall in northern portions of Madison County at this hour, and it's pretty much running right through the area with the flash flood warning where they saw the heaviest rain earlier. So we'll continue to watch this. I believe this is in effect until after 2 a.m. So that's going to stick around for a little bit. So flash flooding concerns in northern portions of Madison County. And really, again, we're just seeing another heavy burst or heavy thunderstorm push over this area. I'm going to step out of the frame, turn on some of the lightning so we can see exactly what we're seeing as far as lightning goes. And then we're going to get back to that phoner with Justin in just a second. But first, let's take a look. The skies are still continuing to light up. But I want to point out really quick before we go to this phoner interview, talking about power outages and things. Notice the lightning is not nearly as widespread as it was earlier when these storms were back up in central portions and even western portions of Kentucky. So around Louisville and when they work through the metro area, lightning has calmed down a lot. So that is a sign that these storms are beginning to weaken, which is some good news, Justin.
All right, Peyton, thanks so much for that update there. We are on the phone now with Joe Arnold here with Kentucky Electric Cooperatives. Hey, Joe, I think we can actually hear you now. We're going to do the old school way here and put you on speakerphone. All right, what do you have for us? What is the latest, again, on some of the power outages and what crews are doing?
As you pointed out, as far as all utilities combined in Kentucky, it looks like more than 135,000 of them, 80,000 of those, or more than half, are co-op consumer members. These are the people who get their power from the local independent co-ops, and so each of them have their own independent outage systems, their own independent, crews and things that are out there working on that. But what we do from the statewide association is aggregate all those together just to get a kind of a statewide representation. We've been watching, as you have as well, this system move across, our systems move across the Commonwealth, throughout the evening, and really just within the last 2 hours. Since 11 o'clock, we were maybe at 40,000 of our co-op members without power. Now we just, as in the last minute, have crossed the 80,000 threshold. And unfortunately, as some of the systems are still moving through with some high winds and some of the heavy rains, you're going to have even more trees come down, even more wires come down. So unfortunately, it's continuing, but it is widespread. I mean, it's the heaviest areas, and you've been pointing out some of those counties that have the majority of people, of co-op members or of customers that are out, everywhere from the Bowling Green area, such as like Butler, Edmondson, that area near Warren County, where they have, more than 4,000 or 5,000 out. Closer to your viewing area, Jessamine County in particular, of the 13,000 co-op members who are in Jessamine County, about 10,000 are out of power. So you're talking about the vast majority of folks in that area are without power right now. We're seeing down trees, down lines. We're seeing lightning strikes as well that have caused damage. And not only are we having damage to the distribution lines, that's the lines that go from the poles, or from the transmission lines to the local co-op. We also have transmission damage. Those are the lines, the high voltage wires, the high tension wires you might see from the power plant to the co-op. So this is going to be a comprehensive fix here.
Wow. So obviously crews are out there already assessing the damage, or is it kind of a wait until obviously the storms are past kind of thing?
Exactly. Well, and it's both, because in some areas, as things have calmed down, some crews have been able to get out and begin working on things. But the areas you've been talking about with the very high winds and the flooding going on, obviously for safety concerns, you're not going to put someone out in harm's way to begin restoring power. We know how frustrating that is to folks who are without power. I literally just got my power back about a half an hour ago after having it out for about 4 hours, and I'm very fortunate. But at this situation and how widespread it is, especially the more rural you get, you have to really be prepared for a day or two at least, depending upon the how widespread the damage is in your area. And especially some of these counties we're talking about where it's so widespread, you just have to be prepared for that.
Well, thank you, Joe, for that report this evening. And we obviously thank all the crews that are out there. They're going to be assessing the damage. And as humans, we get so used, Joe, to having that power, like you were saying, and being out for 4 hours. In the days ahead, we have to think ahead to, okay, well, we're going to start building some heat later this week, and so that's something that people may be without AC for a couple of days. But thanks again, Joe. We appreciate you calling in this morning, I should say now. Anything else that you want to pass along, like for if anybody comes across a power outage or a power down or power line, what should they do? How should they report that?
Thank you. I was hoping you'd get that in, because that is the safety first. We know it's inconvenient. We know you're going to lose some food in the fridge. We know that's very frustrating. Please be careful, by the way, after several hours, to throw that food out just to be safe. But as far as the down line is concerned, you have to assume it's energized. And even if it's not energized now, as the power is restored in other areas, perhaps there's one thing that comes back on. That line in your front yard or across the road that appears not to be energized might come back on. Stay away from it. Call 911, call your local utility or your local co-op. And even if you come across, let's say there's a tree limb in contact with the line, you might be thinking you're doing someone a favor by taking it off of there. That tree itself can be energized. That can kill you. So please stay away from any down line or anything in contact with the line that might still be strung, because that can be very deadly. So just be careful out there, and thank you for your diligence and staying on the air tonight to warn people about these dangers.
You're very welcome. Thank you for that very beneficial information, Joe, and we'll be in touch with you, okay?
Okay.
Stay safe. Have a good one. All right, that was Joe Arnold again from Kentucky Electric Cooperatives. You heard there firsthand that obviously the severity of the situation, when you think in general, you look here, 12,000 customers in Madison County, 12,000 in Jessamine County, if not more. These numbers could keep going up as they're working on some lines. He was telling me that before we got on the phone, that sometimes when they're working to restore power, they may have to shut off another area to try to restore. So some of you may still lose some additional power, but to be patient with them. But when you think county-wide, you think, okay, 12,000 customers doesn't seem like a lot, but it's customers, it's not the population, okay? So there may be 3, 4, 5 people that live in these counties, but you're talking about just a customer alone. So this is a lot of people. And you heard him saying that he was without power for 4 hours. So even though the storms are now in our southern areas, Peyton, which you're going to show us the radar in a minute, we could still be adding more to these. We could. But the good news is after today, once this moves out, that we do at least have some calmer weather for those crews to get to work.
Yeah, that's for sure the good news. And I want to kind of update you on our severe thunderstorm watches now. The Weather Service is beginning to chip these away, which is the good news. That's what we kind of expected behind this last line of storms that is working through portions of southeastern Kentucky now. But now pretty much once you get chipped out of the watch area, you're in the all clear. So from Clark, Madison, Garrett County, Boyle County, and north and westward, you're now in the clear. If you're not included in the watch, so places like Magoffin, Morgan, Rowan, Elliott, even over towards Johnson and Floyd County, back towards Lawrence County, once you get along the Kentucky-West Virginia border, these areas that are not in the watch, you are pretty much just dealing with some light, maybe some moderate rain and some thunder at times. So pretty much we're seeing things improve. We do still have that flash flood warning in effect for northern portions of Madison County. And actually, really, this storm and heavy rain that was just in that area has now pushed off to the south and east. So things are going to begin to improve there. Once this back line begins to completely pass through, things are improving pretty much for everybody. Right now, the only warnings again are back right along the Hal Rogers Parkway, I-75 from London back down towards Corbin and Williamsburg. Main threats here once again are the threat for damaging winds, maybe some small hail. And of course, with this very heavy rainfall, you can see ponding on the roadways, especially on the highways along I-75. We got some pretty heavy rain about to work through that area. So we're going to continue to watch this over the next little bit as it continues to push off to the south, south and east, and things will continue to improve over the next little bit. Right now, once you head back up I-75 back towards McKee, Berea, just light, maybe some moderate rain, maybe a few strikes of lightning, but things are looking much better. Same story back towards Irvin. However, looks like you will get some heavier rain as this continues to push out of Madison County into Estill County, kind of following actually the Kentucky River there just a little bit. So we'll continue to watch this, but overall, things are looking much better than they were just a little bit ago. So that is some of the good news. We're going to continue. Heavy rain here once you get into southern portions of Perry County, Knox County, seeing some heavy rain as well. Again, light rain behind that, though. So again, things are continuing to improve. And actually, Justin, I know we've kind of been talking about over the past several weeks, we really need the rain. Obviously, we don't need the severe storms to go along with it, but a lot of these areas, especially some of the farmland, places in eastern and southern Kentucky where those fields definitely need some of this rainfall, which is good news. We obviously don't need the damage to go along with it, but some of these areas, especially in northeastern Kentucky, that are just seeing the light to moderate rain, it's definitely helping those areas, which is good news. The good thing as well is, as Justin was mentioning earlier, by the time we get to the middle of this week, things are looking great. We're talking about less humidity, temperatures in the low to mid 80s, sunshine ramps up, I should say, and then really we start to see the heat crank up by the end of this next week, and things turn hot and humid again, and then we reintroduce the chance for showers and storms by Friday into Saturday. So, but we got to get through this first. Again, we're taking it hour by hour, minute by minute. Things again improving, especially once you head back towards the metro area. It's dry in Lexington, same story, Nicholasville, Danville, Stanford, Liberty, Lebanon, Campbellsville, even Russell Springs now on the back edge of this. And just moments ago, Russell County, we were talking about for you, the threat for those damaging winds, very heavy rainfall. Northern portions of Lake Cumberland, things looking much better, just some light rain. If you're still on southern portions of the lake or around those areas, still some very heavy rain, maybe some gusty winds as well. But again, the overall trend over the next several hours, things are improving, which is the good news as these storms continue to weaken as they push to the south and east. What we see a lot of times with this, now that night has fallen and really the atmosphere is continuing to get worked over with this heavy rain, we'll continue to see these storms weaken, which is the good news. And with nightfall again, things begin to cool off a little bit. But behind the cold front that's pushing through here, things looking much better as we head into the start of the week. I do want to emphasize, though, as well, if you head out the door tomorrow morning, there's likely still going to be power outages, likely still going to be trees down, power lines down, things of that nature. So I do want to emphasize, if you head out first thing tomorrow morning to go to work, be aware of your surroundings, especially as you're driving, or maybe even just walking out your front door. Just be aware of those things as you head out the door first thing tomorrow morning, because some of those threats are still going to be imminent, especially the power lines, because as we were just talking with power officials there, they're not going to be able to get to everything overnight tonight. So we're going to continue to see probably power outages over the next couple of days while crews work across the state to really improve those conditions. We mentioned on the power outage map, over 130,000 customers without power across Kentucky. Now that definitely includes Western Kentucky and back around Louisville as well. Justin.
All right, Peyton, and just as you were wrapping up, all of our severe thunderstorm warnings are over. That's good. All right, we're here from beginning to end. The Weather Authority is with you. What I wanted to do, a quick little wrap up, and then we're going to go back to programming. I'm showing you the past 24 hours of radar because this is lining up and how much rain fell, because we did need it, okay? And we did get it,
but in some areas it was a little too much and a little too quickly, which is why we still have a flash flood warning for Madison County till 2:30. So we're looking at about an hour and 15 minutes left on that. So there could be some streams and creeks that are still out of their banks over there and in a few other areas. But we'll do a quick couple of queries on the radar. 2.7, again, these are radar estimates, but it'll be pretty close in a lot of cases, all right? Downtown Lexington, it's saying about 2.7. Again, this is the last 24. Paris, it's saying about a ½ inch on the radar. Nicholasville here about 1.8. Northern part of Madison County near 3. So definitely a large area there with a lot of rain. Let me clear that off, and I just want to go back real quick to the radar scene. All right, this is going to show us what the radar looks like right now. All right, yes, still some storms ongoing to, let's see, down here from London, Williamsburg, down into Barberville, Harlan, and Hyden. But again, these have weakened below severe threshold criteria. Still some rain lingering off behind that. And obviously a number of damage reports, especially concentrated across parts of Estill, back over into Madison, Jessamine, and into Woodford counties, even parts of Garrett County. Some reports there of trees down, and obviously that led to even some power issues across the region. We thank you so much for choosing the Weather Authority. For forecaster Peyton Hinkle, I'm Chief Meteorologist Justin Logan. Meteorologist Chris Johnson will be in on the news beginning at 5 a.m. with a full recap of the overnight severe weather and what to expect for your work week ahead. Again, and then meteorologist Justin Esterly is back tomorrow night beginning at 6:30. For the Weather Authority and the Fox 56 News team, have a great night. Stay safe, sleep well. We'll see you beginning at 5.